Chapter 1. The Starry Tapestry. Close your eyes. Let the weight of the day settle. Imagine that you are no longer in your room. You are no longer surrounded by walls or ceilings or the busy hum of electricity that fills our modern lives. Instead, imagine you are lying on your back in a field of tall, cool grass. It is night. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth and pine needles. The ground beneath you is solid, a massive, ancient anchor holding you steady. You can feel the coolness of the soil seeping through your clothes, grounding you, connecting you to the planet. Above you, the sky has been pulled back like a heavy curtain. There are no clouds tonight. There is only the deep, velvet abyss, stretching up and out, further than your mind can truly comprehend. It is not just a black ceiling. It is a depth, a bottomless ocean of clear, dark water, and floating in that ocean are the lights. Thousands of them. Some are sharp and piercing like diamonds shattered on black ice. Others are soft, pulsing gently with a red or orange hue like dying embers in a hearth. They are the stars, the ancient watchers. As you lie here perfectly still, try to feel the motion. We often forget that we are moving. We feel stationary, locked in place, but we are drifting. The Earth is a great vessel, slowly rotating on its axis. If you watch the stars long enough, staring at a single point of light above the tree line, you will see it shift. It is a slow, almost imperceptible slide towards the west. It is not the stars that are moving. It is you. You are rolling backwards, deeper into the night, turning away from the sun, facing the open void. Feel that rotation now. A slow, steady, majestic turn, like a leaf drifting on the surface of a dark, slow-moving river. You are safe on this raft of rock, drifting through the great forest of the cosmos. Let us look at this forest. When we look up, we call it space. We think of it as a vacuum and emptiness, but tonight, let us reimagine it. Let us see it as the dark forest. The galaxy is not empty. It is crowded. It is thick with matter, with dust, with energy. Imagine that the darkness between the stars is not empty space, but the trunks of massive, invisible trees. The great pillars of gravity that hold the galaxy together. The clouds of interstellar dust, vast nebulae stretching for light years, are the canopy, blocking out the light from the universe beyond, creating deep shadows where secrets can hide. And the stars are campfires. From where you lie in the grass looking up, you can see the campfires of other travelers. Let us count them. In our galaxy alone, the Milky Way, there are between 100 billion and 400 billion stars. 400 billion campfires scattered through the woods. Try to visualize that number. It is impossible, but let us try. Imagine a handful of sand, thousands of tiny grains slipping through your fingers. Now imagine a beach stretching for miles. Every grain of sand on that beach is a star, a sun, a massive burning sphere of plasma churning and roaring in the silence of the vacuum. Some of these stars are young, bright blue, shouting their energy into the dark. Others are old, swollen red giants, quietly fading away like coals buried in ash. And orbiting these stars are the planets, the worlds. For a long time, we didn't know if other stars had planets. We thought perhaps our sun was unique, a solitary mother holding her children close. But now we know better. The forest is full of worlds. Current estimates suggest there are at least as many planets as there are stars. Hundreds of billions of rocks and gas giants and ice worlds. Imagine them now, drifting in the dark. Think of a planet made entirely of ocean, where waves the size of mountains roll endlessly under a purple sky. No land, just the deep, dark water. Think of a planet locked in tidal orbit, where one side faces its sun forever, a scorching desert of perpetual noon, and the other side faces the dark, frozen in an eternal midnight. And between them, a twilight zone, a ring of perpetual dusk where the sun sits forever on the horizon. Think of the jungle worlds, the ice worlds, the diamond worlds. They are all out there, right now. As you breathe in and breathe out, these worlds are spinning. Winds are blowing over alien landscapes that no human eye has ever seen. Storms are raging on Jupiter-sized giants, swirls of violent red and orange that have lasted for centuries, observed by no one. What? 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 Now we must consider the time. The forest is not just wide, it is old. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. It is a number so large it loses meaning, but let us break it down. Let us compress the history of the universe into a single calendar year. The Big Bang happens on January 1st at the stroke of midnight. The Milky Way galaxy forms in May. Our Sun and our Earth do not appear until September. Complex life on Earth, dinosaurs, forests, fish, they do not arrive until late December. And humanity, we emerge in the very last seconds of the very last minute of December 31st. We have only just arrived at the party. We have only just walked into the forest, but the forest has been here for eons. Before the first human looked up and wondered what the stars were, billions of years had already passed. Stars had been born, lived their trillions of days, and died in spectacular supernova explosions, scattering their dust into the void. In that vast ocean of time, surely, we are not the first travelers. This is the expectation. This is the logic that keeps astronomers awake at night. Given the sheer number of stars, 400 billion in our galaxy, and trillions of galaxies in the observable universe, and given the deep, ancient age of the cosmos, the probability of life arising elsewhere is not just high. It is a statistical certainty. Life is chemistry. It is the natural consequence of matter, energy, and time. If you leave a pot of water on a fire, eventually it will boil. If you leave a planet in the Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold, with liquid water and carbon and energy, eventually life should bubble up. It should be everywhere. The forest should be full of birdsong. It should be teeming with the noise of civilization. There should be radio signals crisscrossing the sky like invisible spiderwebs. There should be megastructures harvesting the light of stars. There should be ships moving like fireflies through the dark lanes between the solar systems. We should look up and see a universe that is busy, a universe that is loud. What? But we don't. We look up and we see beauty. We see majesty. We see the infinite spray of diamond dust against the obsidian sky, but we do not see them. We do not hear them. This brings us to the lunch table. Los Alamos National Laboratory, 1950. A bright, sunny day. The physicist Enrico Fermi is sitting with his colleagues. They are discussing the cosmos, the likelihood of faster-than-light travel, the age of the galaxy. And suddenly, Fermi stops. He looks at the others and he asks a simple, chilling question. Where is everybody? It sounds like a joke, but it is the most profound question in the history of science. If the universe is so old and so vast and so full of planets, where are the aliens? Why haven't they landed on the White House lawn? Why haven't their robot probes mined the asteroid belt? Why haven't their radio transmissions been picked up by our antennas? This is the paradox, the Fermi Paradox, the contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the complete lack of evidence for it. Imagine walking into a massive, ancient city. The skyscrapers are tall and gleaming, the streetlights are on, the power is running. You can hear the hum of the machinery, but the streets are empty, the windows are dark, there are no cars, no people, no voices, just the wind blowing through the canyons of steel and glass. That is the feeling of the Fermi Paradox. It is not a feeling of panic, it is a feeling of resonant emptiness. Like standing in a cathedral after the choir has left. The space is still vibrating with the memory of sound, but the air is still. This is what scientists call the Great Silence. The Great Silence. It is a heavy blanket that wraps around our little planet. For 60 years, we have pointed our radio telescopes at the sky. We have built massive metal ears, dishes of aluminum and steel, cups held out to catch the rain of information. We have scanned the radio frequencies, listening for a pattern, a beat, a prime number, a greeting. We have listened to the roar of stars, the hiss of heated gas, the rhythmic pulse of spinning neutron stars. We have heard the violent, chaotic music of the cosmos, but we have heard no voices. No one has said hello. Why are we the first? Are we the only ones who made it this far? Or is there another reason? Think back to the forest metaphor. Imagine you are a traveler walking through a dark wood at night. You are alone. You have a flashlight and you are waving it around looking for other travelers. You shout, "Is anyone there?" But you hear nothing but the rustle of leaves and the snap of twigs. Does the silence mean the forest is empty? Or does the silence mean that the forest is dangerous? Does it mean that the other travelers are there, hiding in the shadows, watching your flashlight, holding their breath? Maybe the silence is not an absence of life. Maybe the silence is a survival strategy. Maybe the universe is quiet for the same reason a jungle is quiet when a predator enters the clearing. But let us not be afraid, not yet. Tonight the silence is simply a lullaby. It is a reminder of our solitude. Look up at the tapestry again. The Milky Way is a river of milk spilled across the black. It is beautiful because it is distant. It is peaceful because it is silent. We are here on this soft grass breathing the cool air. The earth is holding us. The atmosphere is protecting us. We are a tiny candle flame flickering in a vast, dark cathedral, and for now the flame is burning bright. The universe is not empty of matter. It is full of wonders. It is full of potential, but it is empty of voices. And perhaps that is for the best. Perhaps the silence is what allows us to sleep. Chapter 2: The Drake Equation. Let us leave the open field now. Let us travel back in time just a little. We are moving to a quiet place, a place of deep isolation. It is November. The year is 1961. We are in the mountains of West Virginia. The air here is thin and cold, biting at the skin. The trees are bare, their skeletal branches scratching against the gray sky. Nestled in a valley, shielded by the ridges of the Appalachian Mountains, sits the Green Bank Observatory. It is a sanctuary of silence. Here there are no radio stations allowed, no cell phones, no spark plugs that might cause interference. It is a national radio quiet zone. A place where humanity deliberately hushes its own noise, so that it might hear the whisper of the universe. Inside a small, modest room at the observatory, a fireplace is crackling. The warmth of the hearth battles the chill of the mountain winter. 10 men are gathered here. They are wearing heavy wool suits, ties loosened, sipping coffee that has gone slightly cold. They are the Order of the Dolphin, a secret little club of dreamers. Among them is a young astronomer named Frank Drake. He stands before a chalkboard. The slate is dusty, gray with the ghosts of erased equations. He picks up a piece of white chalk. Listen to the sound. The dry, scratching friction of chalk on stone. He writes 7 symbols, 7 simple letters. He arranges them in a line multiplied together equal to a single letter, and this is the Drake equation. It looks like math, but it is not really math. It is a story. It is a map of the dark forest. It is an attempt to take the infinite, terrifying mystery of the cosmos and break it down into small, manageable steps, to organize our ignorance, to calculate the number of active, communicating civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. Let us walk through this equation, variable by variable. Let us trace the path from the birth of a star to the silence of a dead world. The first variable Frank Drake writes is our star, the rate of star formation in our galaxy. Close your eyes and drift away from that small room in West Virginia. Drift up out of the atmosphere until you are floating above the spiral arms of the Milky Way. The galaxy is a wheel, a slow, churning pinwheel of light, and it is a factory. Deep in the dense, dark clouds of hydrogen gas, the nebulae gravity is working. It is patient. It pulls the dust together, atom by atom, grain by grain. Visualize a cloud of gas, cold and dark, light years wide. Gravity begins to squeeze it. The center gets warmer, denser, the pressure builds, and then ignition, a spark in the dark, A new sun is born. It happens roughly once a year in our galaxy. One new campfire lit in the woods. One new opportunity for warmth. Over the history of the universe, this has happened billions of times. The forest is constantly replanting itself. The old trees fall and the saplings rise. Variable number 2, FP. The fraction of those stars that have planets. For a long time, we stood in the dark and wondered if our sun was special. Was it the only campfire with guests huddled around it, or were planets common? We now know the answer. We have built telescopes, Kepler TESS, that stare unblinking at the stars, waiting for the tiny dip in light that happens when a planet crosses in front of its sun. A shadow, no bigger than a gnat, crossing a searchlight miles away. And we found them, everywhere. Planets are as common as stones on a riverbed. Almost every star you see in the night sky is dancing with a partner. Imagine the variety. Gas giants swirling with storms of amethyst and gold. Ice worlds locked in eternal hibernation. Rocky worlds battered and scarred by asteroids. They orbit in the silence, ticking like clockwork mechanisms, turning their faces to their suns, then turning back to the dark. This brings us to the third variable, the number of planets that can support life. This is the search for the Goldilocks zone. The habitable zone. It is a delicate boundary. Imagine a campfire in the woods on a freezing night. If you stand too close, the heat is unbearable. Your skin blisters, the water in your body boils away. If you stand too far back, the cold takes you. Your blood freezes, the frost settles on your lashes. But there is a thin ring, a circle around the fire where the temperature is just right, where water can flow, where a river can run without freezing or evaporating. Earth sits in this ring, a blue jewel floating in the perfect warmth. But we are not the only ones. We suspect there are billions of such worlds. Billions of quiet, temperate rocks where rain falls into liquid oceans and clouds drift over silent continents. Waiting for the fourth variable. FL, the fraction of planets where life actually begins. This is the spark, the mystery. How does dead stone become living flesh? How does lightning striking a pool of amino acids become a cell that eats and divides and strives? We do not know. We have only seen it happen once here on this rock. But in the vastness of the forest, with billions of wet, warm worlds, surely the moss begins to grow on more than one stone. Imagine the primitive oceans of a distant world. Dark, warm waters, volcanic vents spewing heat from the core. And there in the deep something stirs. Microscopic, simple but alive, it divides, it spreads, it conquers the ocean. It crawls onto the land. It turns the barren rock into a garden. The forest floor is covered in life, but it is silent life. Trees do not speak. Bacteria do not build radio telescopes. So we need the fifth variable, Fi. The fraction of life that develops intelligence. Evolution is a chaotic, wandering path. It does not always lead to a mind. Dinosaurs ruled our Earth for 160 million years, and they never built a city. They never looked at the stars and asked why. Intelligence is rare. It is a high price to pay. Brains are expensive. They demand energy. But let us assume that on some worlds, the pressure of the forest forces a creature to think, to pick up a stone and use it as a tool, to look at the fire and learn how to make it, to look up at the moon and wonder how to touch it. And then the sixth variable, FC. The fraction of civilizations that develop a technology that releases detectable signs of their existence into space. Communication. This is the moment the silence is broken. This is the moment a civilization decides to shout. They build transmitters. They discover electromagnetism. They realize that light is a wave, and they can shape that wave to carry a message. They create a bubble of noise around their star, just as we did. For the last 100 years, Earth has been leaking. Our television, our radar, our radio. It expands out from us at the speed of light. A sphere of noise, 200 light-years wide, expanding into the galaxy. If anyone is listening, they might hear us. But this brings us to the final and most haunting variable, The letter L, the length of time. How long does such a civilization release these signals? How long does the campfire burn before it goes out? This is the variable that haunts the sleep of astronomers. Civilizations are fragile things. We have nuclear weapons. We have biological engineering. We have a changing climate. We have the capacity to destroy ourselves. Or perhaps we simply change. Perhaps we grow tired of shouting. Perhaps we turn inward, plugging our minds into machines, letting the radio dishes rust in the rain. If L is short, if civilizations only last for a few centuries before they fade or self-destruct, then the galaxy is a lonely place. Imagine the forest again. Imagine that the fireflies appear in the dark woods. They flash their light, bright, beautiful, signaling to a mate. But the flash only lasts for a second. If the forest is vast and the flashes are brief, the chances of two fireflies flashing at the exact same moment, close enough to see each other, is vanishingly small. You might flash your light and look around and see nothing but darkness, not because there are no other fireflies, but because you missed them. They flashed 1,000 years ago while your ancestors were still living in caves. Their signal washed over Earth, and there were no antennas to catch it. Or perhaps they will flash 1,000 years from now, long after our antennas have crumbled to dust. We are ships passing in the night, separated not just by space, but by the cruel vastness of time. Back in that room in West Virginia, Frank Drake puts down the chalk. The dust settles on his fingers. He looks at the equation. The 7 letters. He multiplies them. He makes guesses. If stars are born often, if planets are common, if life is tenacious, if minds are curious, and if civilizations can survive their own adolescence, then the number N, the number of friends we have in this galaxy, could be in the thousands, beacons, friends, teachers. But if L is small, if the nature of intelligent life is to burn bright and die young, then N could be one, just us. Just this one lonely room in the mountains. Just this one blue marble drifting through the endless, silent dark. The men in the room sip their coffee. The fire in the hearth has burned down to embers. The cold of the mountain night presses against the glass. The equation does not give them an answer. It does not tell them where the aliens are. But it gives them something else. It gives them a frame, a way to look at the night sky and not see chaos but possibility. It changes the silence. The silence is no longer empty. It is pregnant with waiting. It is a silence that asks a question. Are we the only ones who have learned to count the stars? Or is there someone else, on a world orbiting a dying red sun, writing the same equation on a different kind of slate, wondering about us? The Drake equation organizes our ignorance. It tells us what we need to find out. It tells us that the universe is a place of variables, of chances, of rolling dice. And as you lie here, safe in the gravity of Earth, you are part of that equation. You are part of the variable Phi. You are the intelligence. You are the mind that perceives the universe. Without you, the equation is just marks on a stone. With you, it is a thought, a hope. Let that hope settle in your chest, a warm, steady light. You are the universe waking up. You are the forest becoming aware of itself. And for now, that is enough. We drift on, past the math, past the logic. Deeper into the woods. Chapter 3, The Great Filter. The fire has burned down to embers in the room in West Virginia. The equation is written on the board. The math suggests that the forest should be full of voices. The math suggests we should be surrounded by friends. But the night sky remains silent. So we must ask the harder question. We must look deeper into the shadows of the trees. If the seed of life is common, why is the fruit so rare? Perhaps the forest is not just a place of hiding. Perhaps it is an obstacle course. Imagine a long, narrow path stretching through the dark woods. It is millions of miles long. It winds through thorns, over cliffs, across raging rivers. To reach the end of the path, to become a civilization that can speak to the stars, a traveler must survive every single step. Most do not make it. This is the theory known as the Great Filter. It suggests that there is a wall, a barrier, a hurdle so high, so difficult, or so unlikely that almost no one clears it. Evolution is not a straight line. We often think of it as an escalator, naturally moving upward from simple bacteria to complex animals, to tool users, to star travelers. We think intelligence is inevitable, but the great filter tells us that evolution is not an escalator. It is a lottery. It is a series of locked doors. Let us walk back to the beginning. Let us look for the first door. It might be at the very start. The early filter, drift back in your mind. Drift back 4 billion years. The Earth is young. It is a violent, churning world of volcanoes and gray oceans. The air is toxic. The sky is a bruised purple. In the warm, chemical soup of the ancient seas, trillions of molecules are bumping into each other. They are lifeless, just dead matter, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, drifting in the dark water. For life to begin, these dead atoms must arrange themselves in a precise, incredibly complex pattern. They must form a molecule that can copy itself. Statisticians have looked at this moment. They say the odds of a self-replicating molecule forming by chance are like a tornado sweeping through a junkyard and accidentally assembling a Boeing 747. It seems impossible, and yet here we are. Perhaps this is the filter. Perhaps the universe is full of wet, warm planets that are perfectly habitable but perfectly dead. Imagine them, billions of silent oceans, waves crashing on empty shores, rain falling on bare rock, wind howling through canyons where nothing ever grows, nothing ever breathes, nothing ever dies, just chemistry, spinning in the dark. If this is true, if the hardest part was just getting started, then we are the lottery winners. We are the golden children of the cosmos. We have already passed the wall. We walked through the fire before we could even speak. But there is another possibility. What if life is easy? What if the moss grows on every wet stone? Then the wall must be somewhere else. Let us move forward in time. Life has begun. The oceans are full of bacteria, simple single-celled organisms. They float, they eat, they divide. For 2 billion years, that is all they do. 2 billion years. Half the history of our planet, just slime. Perhaps the filter is here. The leap from the simple cell, the prokaryote, to the complex cell, the eukaryote. It happened only once in the history of Earth. One tiny bacterium swallowed another, and instead of digesting it, they made a deal. They became a team. The energy source, the mitochondria, moved inside the house. It was a freak accident, a 1 in a trillion merger. Without that accident, there are no plants, no animals, no humans, just eternal microscopic sludge. Imagine a galaxy full of slime worlds. Planets covered in green mats of bacteria, breathing slowly under a dim sun. They are alive, but they are dreaming a dreamless sleep. They will never build a radio. They will never say hello. But let us walk further down the path. What if complex life is common? What if the forest is full of animals? We look at the fossils in our own ground. We see the trilobites, the dinosaurs, the great beasts of the Ice Age. Nature is creative. It builds eyes and wings and claws. It builds hunters and grazers. But does it build minds? We assume intelligence is the goal of evolution. But for 300 million years, the dinosaurs dominated the Earth without ever needing to build a telescope. They were perfect at surviving. They didn't need to know the value of pi. Intelligence is expensive. The brain is a hungry organ. It consumes 20% of your energy while you just sit there. For a wild animal, that is a luxury. Perhaps the filter is here. Perhaps the universe is full of jungle worlds. Close your eyes and see them. Planets thick with alien vegetation. Purple trees stretching a mile high. Creatures the size of whales floating through dense, atmospheric oceans. Six-legged predators stalking through the underbrush. It is a noisy forest. Roars, chirps, howls. The sound of life is everywhere, but it is a conversation without words. There is no philosophy, no mathematics, no signal sent to the stars. Just the circle of life, spinning round and round until the sun burns out. What? And now we come to the most haunting thought, the late filter. What if the wall is not behind us? What if the wall is ahead of us? This is the thought that brings a chill to the warm air of the summer night. It suggests that life evolves often. Intelligence arises frequently. Civilizations rise up, they build cities, they discover the atom, they unlock the secrets of the star. And then, silence. The great filter suggests that there is a trap waiting for advanced civilizations, a hurdle they cannot clear. It is not a monster, it is not an invasion, it is something internal. Perhaps it is technology itself. As a civilization grows, it discovers more and more power. It learns to split the atom. It learns to rewrite DNA. It learns to change the climate. It becomes a child playing with a box of matches in a library full of dry paper. Maybe the silence of the sky tells us that everyone eventually drops the match. Imagine the ruins. Let your mind drift across the gulf of space to a distant star system, a planet that was once like Earth, blue and green. Now it is gray. The clouds are thick and heavy with dust. The oceans are still. On the surface there are monuments, great spires of glass and steel now shattered and covered in sand. Massive dishes once pointed at the heavens now collapsed under the weight of time. There are no bodies. They have long since returned to the dust. There is only the wind, whistling through the empty windows of tall towers. It is a graveyard, a cosmic cemetery. But do not see this as a place of horror. See it as a place of rest. There is a profound peace in these ruins. The struggle is over. The noise has stopped. The civilization had its moment in the sun. It learned, it loved, it built, and then it returned to the sleep of the inanimate. The universe collects these ruins like a beach collects shells. They are beautiful in their silence. They are lessons carved in stone. If the great filter is ahead of us, then we are walking towards that same silence. But there is another perspective, a gentler one. Let us return to the idea of the filter being behind us. If the sky is silent, it means one of two things. Either everyone dies or no one else was ever born. If we are the only ones, if we are the only minds floating in this dark forest, then we are not lonely. We are precious. Think of the rare earth hypothesis. Think of all the things that had to go right for you to be lying here, breathing, imagining. The sun had to be stable. The planet had to be the right size. We needed a moon, a massive, silvery guardian, to stabilize our tilt and give us tides. We needed Jupiter, the great vacuum cleaner of the solar system, to catch the asteroids that would have wiped us out. We needed the magnetic field to shield us from the solar wind. We needed the volcanoes to recycle the carbon. It is a chain of miracles, a house of cards built in a hurricane, and it stood. Against all odds, the house stood. This is the comfort of the great filter. If the silence is real, it means we have already won the lottery. We are the firstborn. The ancients. When you look up at the stars, you are not looking at the homes of superiors who are hiding from us. You are looking at a nursery. The other stars are waiting. The planets are waiting. They are empty rooms, waiting for life to arrive. We are the life. We are the ones who made it through the wall. We are the ones who climbed the cliffs and swam the rivers. We are the survivors of the long, dark history of matter. The silence is not a door slammed in our face. It is an open road. It is a canvas waiting for us to paint upon it. Feel the gravity of Earth pulling you down. It is a hug. It is the planet holding onto the only children it has ever known. You are safe here. You have passed the test. The universe is vast and dark and empty, but you are here. You are the consciousness of the cosmos. You are the way the universe knows itself. So rest now. Rest in the knowledge that you are a miracle. The hard part is over. The odds have been beaten. The silence is just the sound of the universe holding its breath, watching you, amazed that you exist at all. Chapter 4. The Expanding Sphere. We have spoken of the silence. We have spoken of the long, narrow path that life must walk to survive. We have imagined the quiet ruins of civilizations that fell silent before they could speak. But now we must turn our gaze inward. We must look at ourselves, because while the rest of the forest is holding its breath, we are not. For the last 100 years, Earth has been doing something extraordinary, something dangerous, something beautiful. We have been singing. We have not been singing to the stars, not intentionally. We have been singing to each other. But we forgot that the walls of our house are transparent. We forgot that the windows are open. Let us drift back to the beginning of the song. The year is 1895, or perhaps 1901. The exact date is less important than the event. It begins with a spark. Imagine a small workshop. Dust motes dancing in the afternoon light. There is a machine made of brass and wood and coil. A man named Guglielmo Marconi is pressing a key. Click. A spark jumps across a gap. A tiny blue-white snap of electricity. That spark creates a ripple, not in the air but in the electromagnetic field. An invisible wave ripples out from the machine. It passes through the walls of the workshop. It passes through the hills of Italy. It passes through the atmosphere. And it keeps going. That specific ripple, that Marconi's ghost, is still traveling today. It has left the Earth. It has passed the Moon. It has passed Mars and Jupiter. It has left the solar system entirely. It is now more than 100 light-years away, drifting through the deep, cold interstellar medium. It is a faint whisper, quieter than a breath, but it is there. The first announcement that we are awake. Since that day, the spark has become a roar. Visualize the Earth now. See it floating in the velvet blackness, a blue marble wrapped in white clouds. Now imagine a sphere surrounding it, a bubble of invisible energy. This is the radiosphere. It is growing. Every second, the sphere expands by 186,000 miles. It pushes out into the forest like a shockwave. It is currently about 200 light-years wide. Compared to the size of the galaxy, this bubble is tiny, a mere speck, a single drop of water in a vast ocean. But inside that bubble, the silence has been broken. If you were an alien astronomer living on a planet orbiting the star Vega, 25 light-years away, you would be inside the bubble. The waves of Earth have already washed over you. If you had a receiver sensitive enough, if you turned your great metal ear toward our yellow sun, what would you hear? You would not hear a greeting. You would not hear mathematics or poetry aimed at you. You would hear the noise of our lives. You would hear the chaotic, leaking hum of a young, noisy civilization. Think of what we have broadcast into the dark. The first signals were simple. Morse code, dots and dashes, rhythmic pulses like a heartbeat. Then came the voices, the amplitude modulation, AM radio, the news of the 20th century, the jazz of the 20s, the fireside chats, the reports of wars in Europe, the sounds of bombs dropping, the sounds of crowds cheering. Then came television, the high-frequency waves. You would hear the laughter of sitcoms, the canned, recorded laughter of dead people, preserving a moment of joy from 1955, drifting forever through the void. You would hear the opera, the soaring high notes of a soprano, stretching out, becoming thinner and thinner as they cross the parsecs. You would hear the silence of the Cold War radar systems, massive, powerful blasts of radio energy, designed to spot missiles over the horizon, but inadvertently screaming into space. These military radars are the loudest things we have ever built. They are brighter in the radio spectrum than the sun itself. To a listener in the forest, Earth does not look like a rock. It looks like a strobe light, a rhythmic, pulsing beacon of artificial energy. We are a child walking through a dark wood at night, singing a song to keep ourselves company, unaware that the sound carries for miles. But there is a mercy in the physics. Let us speak of the water. Imagine throwing a stone into a still, dark pond. The splash creates a ring. The ring expands. As it gets wider, the wave gets smaller. The energy is spread out over a larger and larger circle. Eventually, the ripple becomes so small that it is lost in the texture of the water. This is the inverse square law. It is the fog of the universe. It is the natural camouflage that protects us. As our radio waves travel, they spread out. The signal creates a sphere. The surface area of that sphere grows with the square of the distance. This means the signal gets weak, very fast. By the time our television shows reach the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, 4 light-years away, they are already faint. They are a whisper mixed with static. By the time they reach 100 light-years, they are almost indistinguishable from the background noise of the universe. The universe is a noisy place. The Big Bang left behind a hum of microwave radiation. Stars burp out radio waves. Black holes scream in X-rays. The galaxy is filled with a static hiss, like rain on a tin roof. Our little signals, our "I love Lucy," our nightly news, our pop music, they have to compete with the roar of the cosmos. So perhaps we are not as loud as we think. Perhaps the bubble is not a solid wall of noise. Perhaps it is just a faint statistical anomaly, a slight rise in the temperature of the radio spectrum. To hear us, the hunters would need ears of impossible size. They would need arrays of antennas spanning miles, focused perfectly on our tiny yellow sun, filtering out the noise of Jupiter, the noise of the Milky Way, the noise of the dust. But what if they have them? What if the forest is full of listeners? Imagine a world deep in the dark, a planet orbiting a red dwarf star. The star provides little light. The world is in perpetual twilight. The inhabitants of this world are ancient. They stopped broadcasting eons ago. They learned the lesson of the silence. They know that to survive, one must be quiet, but they still listen. They have built a great receiver, a dish the size of a crater. A watchful eye turned toward the galaxy. They listen to the spin of pulsars, they map the hydrogen clouds, and then one day the needles twitch. A signal washes over their world. It is faint, fragmented, broken by the dust of space. But it has a pattern. Nature creates noise. It does not create the carrier wave of a television broadcast. They filter the static. They amplify the whisper. And they hear us. They hear the coronation of a queen. They hear the moon landing, one small step for man. They hear the chaotic, emotional, vibrant mess of humanity. What do they think? Do they recognize the sound of a young civilization? Do they remember when they, too, were noisy and careless? Do they look at their own history, at the ruins of their own wars, and feel pity for us? Or do they simply mark us on a map, a new dot, a new campfire lit in the east? Someone is awake, they might say. Someone is foolish enough to speak. We have been announcing our location for a century. We have drawn a circle around our star and filled it with our identity. We have sent our address, our biology, our culture, and our fears out into the dark, packaged in waves of light. It is an unintended beacon. We didn't mean to do it. We were just talking to ourselves, trying to sell soap, trying to share news, trying to connect with our neighbors across the ocean. We didn't realize that the ocean has no opposite shore. We didn't realize that the sky has no ceiling. Every word ever spoken on the radio is still out there. Think of it. The voice of your grandmother, perhaps interviewed on a local news station 50 years ago. That voice is not gone. It is 50 light-years away, passing through the dust clouds of the Eagle Nebula. The laughter of a child recorded on a broadcast is now touching the ice rings of a planet we haven't discovered yet. We are ghosts traveling the speed of light, and as the sphere expands, it gets thinner. The voices stretch. The music slows down. The energy dissipates. Eventually, the signal will be gone. It will fade into the heat death of the universe. But for now, the bubble is expanding. It is pushing back the ignorance of the dark. It is a sphere of human warmth in a cold galaxy. Perhaps that is why the silence feels so heavy to us, because we are so full of noise. We are the birds singing in the morning, wondering why the rest of the forest is still asleep. We do not yet know if the silence is a peace or a warning. We only know that we have shouted, and the sound is still traveling. The ripples are still moving through the black water, and somewhere in the deep woods, perhaps an ear has just turned to listen. Chapter 5. The Arecibo Message. Let us leave the expanding bubble of our accidental noise. Let us leave the radio waves of our history drifting into the void. We are going to return to Earth, to a specific place, to a specific moment when we decided to stop whispering and start shouting. Come with me to the tropics. It is 1974. We are in the deep, lush interior of Puerto Rico. The air here is thick and heavy with moisture. It smells of wet earth, rotting leaves, and sweet orchids. The jungle is alive. It is a cacophony of biological sound. The chirping of coqui frogs, the buzz of cicadas, the rustle of wind through the palm fronds. Here, hidden in a natural sinkhole surrounded by limestone hills, sits a giant. It is the Arecibo Observatory. Visualize it. It does not look like a machine. It looks like a lake made of metal. A massive dish, 1,000 feet wide, resting in the cradle of the earth. It is composed of nearly 40,000 aluminum panels, each one perforated to let the rain pass through, each one gleaming softly in the tropical sun. Suspended high above this metal bowl, held up by thick steel cables strung from concrete towers, is a triangular platform. It hangs in the sky like a strange, suspended temple. For decades, this was the largest ear on Earth. It was built to listen, to catch the faint whispers of pulsars and distant galaxies. But on a warm day in November, the ear became a mouth. We decided to reverse the flow. We decided that instead of listening to the forest, we would call out to it. This was not an accident. This was not a leaked sitcom or a radar pulse. This was a deliberate, calculated attempt to contact another mind. It was known as the Arecibo message. Frank Drake, the man who wrote the equation, stood here with Carl Sagan. Two dreamers in the jungle. They crafted a letter, but they could not write it in English or Spanish or Chinese. Those are the languages of one small species on one small rock. They had to write in the language of the universe. Mathematics. Imagine the message being assembled. It is not long. It is short, concise. 1,679 bits of data. Why that number? Because it is a semiprime number. It can only be divided by two numbers, 23 and 73. If an alien intelligence receives this string of pulses, and if they lay them out in a grid, 23 columns wide, 73 rows tall, a picture emerges. A pixel art image drawn in the binary code of the stars. Let us trace the image line by line as it moves through the transmitter. First, the numbers 1 through 10, the primer, the lesson on how to count. Then, the chemistry of life. The atomic numbers for hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus. The ingredients of the soup. Then, the formulas for sugars and bases. The blocks of DNA. Then, a shape, a twisting double helix, the ladder of life. And below that, us, a simple stick figure, a tiny human sketched in a few dozen pulses, a head, 2 arms, 2 legs. The height of the human is indicated. The population of Earth, 4 billion at the time, is listed. We sent a self-portrait, a drawing of the child lost in the woods. Below the human, a map, our solar system, the sun and 9 planets. The third planet, Earth, is shifted up towards the human figure. We are here, it says. This is our home. And finally, at the bottom, a sketch of the telescope itself, the curved dish that sent the message. It took less than 3 minutes to transmit. The massive klystron tubes hummed with power. The energy surged up to the platform. 450,000 watts of power. But the dish focused it. It concentrated all that energy into a beam so tight, so sharp, that for those 3 minutes, Earth was the brightest object in the galaxy in the radio spectrum. Brighter than the sun. We turned on a spotlight in a dark room. We flashed a flare gun into the night. The beam tore through the atmosphere. It passed the moon in seconds. It crossed the orbit of Mars. It left the solar system and plunged into the interstellar deep. It is still traveling now. But where is it going? Frank Drake aimed the message at a specific target. He chose a jewel box in the sky. The Great Globular Cluster in Hercules. Messier 13. Drift with the beam now. Move faster than light. Move instantly to the destination. Messier 13 is not like our neighborhood. Here, stars are not separated by light years. They are packed together, hundreds of thousands of stars swarming in a ball. It is a city of lights, a dense, glittering metropolis of ancient suns. If you lived on a planet in the center of M13, you would never know night. The sky would be white with starlight. It is a place where perhaps life is abundant, where civilizations might be close enough to touch. That is where we sent the letter. But there is a melancholy to this journey, a sadness in the physics. The cluster is 25,000 light-years away. The message moves at the speed of light. It cannot go faster. That means it will take 25,000 years to arrive. Imagine that span of time. 25,000 years ago, humans on Earth were painting lions and horses on the walls of caves in France. We were hunting mammoths with stone spears. We had not yet invented writing, or the wheel, or agriculture. That is how long the message must travel, and if someone is there, if someone is listening in that crowded cluster of stars, and if they receive the message, and if they understand it, and if they decide to reply, it will take another 25,000 years for the answer to return, 50,000 years, a full cycle of civilization. By the time the reply comes, the Arecibo telescope will be dust. The concrete towers will have crumbled into the jungle. The jungle itself may be gone. Humanity may have evolved into something else, or we may have vanished entirely. The message was not a conversation. It was a monument. It was a gesture. A way of saying we were here, we were curious, we tried. But not everyone agrees that this was a wise thing to do. This brings us to the controversy. The debate between SETI, listening, and METI, messaging. Listening is safe. It is passive. It is sitting quietly in the dark. But messaging is shouting. Stephen Hawking, one of the greatest minds of our time, warned us against this. He looked at human history. He looked at what happens when a technologically advanced civilization meets a less advanced one. When the explorers landed in the Americas, it did not go well for the natives. Hawking suggested that if aliens visit us, the outcome would be much the same. He warned that we are naive. We assume that any civilization advanced enough to travel the stars must also be wise and kind and peaceful. We assume that technology brings morality. But in the dark forest, this is a dangerous assumption. Think of the tiger. The tiger is not evil. It is not malicious. It does not hate the deer. But the tiger is hungry, and the tiger is powerful. If you are a fawn hidden in the tall grass, you do not bleat. You do not call out to the tiger to show it your beautiful spots. You stay low. You stay silent. You survive. By sending the Arecibo message, we stood up in the tall grass. We waved our arms. We shouted, "Here is our DNA. Here is where we live. Come find us." Some scientists call this suicidal folly. They argue that until we know the nature of the forest, we should not light a fire. They argue that the silence of the universe is not empty. It is tactical. Perhaps the reason we hear nothing is because everyone else knows better. Everyone else knows the history of the galaxy. Everyone else knows about the hunters. And here we are, the noisy children, ringing the doorbell of a house we have never seen. But there is another view, a gentler view, the view of Carl Sagan. He believed that a civilization that survives long enough to travel the stars must have conquered its own aggression. He believed that the great filter stops the warlike races. He believed that the only ones left in the deep forest are the wise, the patient, the benevolent. He believed that the message was an act of hope, an act of faith. Faith that the universe is not a dark forest of hunters, but a community of friends waiting to be found. And even if it is dangerous, is it not worth the risk? Is it not better to reach out, to try to touch the infinite, than to hide in the dark forever? The Arecibo telescope is gone now. In the year 2020, the cable snapped. The massive platform fell. It crashed into the dish, shattering the delicate aluminum panels. The jungle is reclaiming the site. Vines are creeping over the ruins. The frogs are singing their chorus over the twisted metal. The ear is broken. The mouth is closed, but the beam is still traveling. Far out in the deep vacuum, 25 trillion miles away and moving further every second is that pulse of energy. A binary ghost. It carries the image of a human. It carries the secret of our blood. It carries the location of our home. It flies past the nebulae, past the dust clouds, past the dead worlds and the living ones. It flies towards the cluster of Hercules. It will fly long after you and I are asleep, long after our cities are gone, long after the names of Drake and Sagan are forgotten. It is a message in a bottle thrown into the widest ocean of all, and we drift in the wake of its launch. We lie back in the grass of our quiet world. We feel the rotation of the earth. We feel the safety of the distance. We have shouted into the void, and now we wait. We wait in the silence, we wait in the dark, and we dream of who might catch the bottle. Chapter 6. The Golden Records. The radio waves of the Arecibo message are moving at the speed of light. They are fleeting things, energy without mass, a shout that passes in an instant. But we humans are not just creatures of energy. We are creatures of matter. We like to hold things. We like to carve our names into stone. We like to leave footprints. And so, 3 years after we shouted into the jungle with radio, we decided to do something different. We decided to send a physical object. We decided to put a message in a bottle and throw it into the cosmic ocean. The year is 1977. The stars have aligned, quite literally. The outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, have arranged themselves in a rare arc, a celestial path that opens only once every 176 years. It is a gravity slide, a way to skip stones across the surface of the solar system, gaining speed with each jump. And so, on a launch pad in Florida amidst the heat and the smoke, 2 machines begin their journey, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. They are not large, they are the size of a small car. They are tangles of metal struts, white antennas, and gold foil. They look fragile like insects made of tin and wire, but they are the toughest things we have ever built. Watch them rise. Watch them pierce the blue sky of Earth. Watch them shed their rockets, shed their tethers, and drift out into the silence. They are going on the grand tour. They are going to visit the giants. Picture the journey. They glide past the red dust of Mars. They thread the needle of the asteroid belt, millions of tumbling stones in the dark. They arrive at Jupiter, the king, a swirling ball of gas so massive it could swallow 1,000 Earths. They see the great red spot, a storm that has been raging since before the Middle Ages. They use the gravity of the giant like a slingshot. They swing around the backside, stealing a little bit of the planet's momentum, and they hurl themselves faster into the dark. They fly to Saturn. They skim the rings, countless shards of ice glittering like diamonds in the pale sunlight. Then Uranus. Then Neptune, the blue ice giants. The winds there blow at supersonic speeds. The cold is absolute. And then they keep going. They leave the planets behind. They leave the warmth of the sun behind. They enter the heliopause, the edge of the bubble, the place where the wind from the sun dies down and the wind from the stars begins to blow. They are entering the deep forest now, but they are not traveling empty-handed. Bolted to the side of each spacecraft, gleaming in the starlight, is a disk. It is 12 inches wide. It is made of copper, coated in gold. It is a phonograph record. Think of the optimism of this object. In a universe of infinite distances, in a forest where we fear the hunters, we sent a gift. We did not send a weapon. We did not send a warning. We sent a mixtape. The cover of the record is etched with symbols, instructions, a map to our sun using pulsars as lighthouses, a diagram showing how to build a stylus to play the record, a calculation for the speed of rotation. We assume that whoever finds it will have eyes to see. We assume they will have hands to build. We assume they will have curiosity. And if they figure it out, if they lay the needle in the groove and spin the gold, what will they hear? They will hear the sound of a world that might be long gone. They will hear the earth. Close your eyes and listen to the track list of humanity. They will hear the wind, the sound of air moving over grass and stone, a sound that might be unique to our blue marble. They will hear the thunder, the crack of electricity in a nitrogen atmosphere. They will hear the ocean, the rhythmic pounding of waves on the shore, the cradle where life began. They will hear the songs of the whales, the deep, mournful groans of the leviathans drifting through the deep water, another intelligence sharing our planet singing to the deep. They will hear the birds, the chimpanzees, the sound of footsteps, the sound of a heartbeat, and they will hear voices. We recorded greetings in 55 languages, from Akkadian, spoken in Sumeria 6,000 years ago, to Wu, to Hindi, to English. Hello from the children of planet Earth. Peace and happiness to everyone. Short, polite phrases, the kind of things you say to a stranger you meet on the road, but we sent more than just words. We sent music. Music is the language of emotion. It is the vibration of the soul. We sent the Brandenburg Concerto by Bach, mathematical, precise, intricate, a demonstration of our structured minds. We sent the Rite of Spring by Stravinsky, chaos and power. We sent the sound of a Peruvian wedding song, the sound of joy. We sent Chuck Berry playing Johnny Be Good, the raw energy of rock and roll, the sound of youth. And we sent something else, something deeply melancholic. We sent a song by Blind Willie Johnson, a blues musician from Texas. He was blind, he was poor, he lived a hard life. The song is called Dark Was the Night, Cold Was the Ground. It has no lyrics. It is just the sound of a slide guitar, moaning and weeping, and a man humming a melody of profound loneliness. It is the sound of a human soul facing the night. Imagine that song playing in the silence of interstellar space. Imagine an alien intelligence, 1 billion years from now, finding this golden disk drifting in the void. They build a machine to play it, and suddenly the silence of their laboratory is filled with the sound of a blind man from Texas, humming his pain and his hope. It is a ghost singing to a ghost, but the record holds one more secret. It contains the brain waves of a woman in love. Anne Druyan, the creative director of the project, went to a laboratory in New York. She hooked herself up to an EEG machine. She recorded the electrical impulses of her brain. She thought about the history of Earth. She thought about the violence and the poverty. But she also thought about something new. She had just fallen in love with Carl Sagan. She focused her mind on that feeling, the rush of blood, the quickening heartbeat, the profound connection to another being. That electrical pattern was etched into the gold. So Voyager carries a physical recording of human love. It is a fossil of a feeling, frozen in metal, flying at 38,000 miles per hour. As Voyager 1 passed Saturn and prepared to leave the solar system forever, Carl Sagan made a request. He asked the engineers to turn the camera around. He asked them to look back. Usually, space probes look forward. They look at the unknown. But Sagan wanted one last look at home. The engineers were worried. They thought pointing the camera near the sun might damage the optics, but they agreed. On February 14, 1990, Voyager 1 turned its mechanical eye back toward the center of the system. It took 60 frames, a mosaic of the planets, and in one of those frames, there was a speck of dust, a tiny pixelated dot, suspended in a sunbeam. It was barely visible, less than a single pixel of light. That was us. That was the pale blue dot. That was every human being who has ever lived. Every king and peasant, every hunter and forager, every mother and father, every hopeful child, every inventor and explorer, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species, all of us, living on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. From that distance, 4 billion miles away, Earth does not look like a place of conquest. It does not look like a place of borders. It looks fragile. It looks lonely. It looks like a tiny ember that could be blown out by a breath. It is the ultimate perspective. In the dark forest, we are not a mighty fortress. We are a speck. Voyager sent that picture back to us, pixel by pixel, across the abyss. And then it turned its face forward again. It turned toward the interstellar winds. The cameras were turned off to save power. The instruments began to shut down, one by one. Voyager is quiet now. It is still transmitting, but its voice is faint. A whisper of 20 watts, the power of a refrigerator light bulb, trying to reach us from 14 billion miles away. Soon the nuclear battery will die, the heat will fade, the transmitter will go silent, Voyager will become a derelict, a cold piece of metal drifting in the absolute zero of the void. But it will not stop. In space, there is no friction. There is no air to slow it down. There is no rust to eat the gold. Voyager will drift forever. It will drift for thousands of years. It will pass other stars. It will drift for millions of years. It will circle the center of the galaxy. It will drift for billions of years, long after our sun has swollen into a red giant and consumed the Earth, long after the oceans have boiled away, long after the pyramids have melted into glass, long after the memory of humanity has been erased from the universe. Voyager will still be there. The golden record will still be there. The gold will still shine. The grooves will still hold the music. Blind Willie Johnson will still be humming. Andrewian will still be in love. The whales will still be singing. It is our bid for immortality. It is our way of saying to the forest, we were here, we were alive, we felt things. It is the most romantic, hopeless, beautiful gesture ever made. Imagine it now. See the little probe gleaming in the darkness, tumbling slowly end over end. Silence all around it, the stars watching from a distance. It is a seed from a dying flower floating on the wind, hoping to land in a garden that may not exist. It is alone, but in its solitude it carries the entire soul of a world. Drift with it. Feel the cold. Feel the silence. Feel the endless, weightless float. You are Voyager, you are the traveler, and the journey has no end. Chapter 7: The Ear of the World. Voyager is gone. It has slipped beyond the veil of the sun's influence. It is a mute ambassador, drifting in the deep, cold currents of the interstellar ocean. We have sent our messages. We have shouted with radio. We have thrown our golden bottles into the sea. But there is another way to search the dark forest. You do not always have to shout. Sometimes the wisest thing to do is to sit very still, to close your eyes, and to listen. For the last 60 years, humanity has been building ears. We have built them out of steel and aluminum. We have placed them in the high deserts, in the deep valleys, in the quiet places of the world where the noise of our own civilization is muffled. We call this effort SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. But it is really an act of cosmic meditation. It is the species trying to hear the breathing of the universe. Let us go back to the beginning of the search. The year is 1960. We return to the mountains of West Virginia, to the same valley where the equation was written. It is winter again. The air is sharp. The ground is hard. Frank Drake is there, young and full of hope. He calls his experiment Project Ozma, named after the queen of the imaginary land of Oz. He is looking for a place that is far away and strange and perhaps wonderful. He points a telescope, an 85-foot dish of white metal, at two nearby stars, Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani. They are sun-like stars. They are roughly 10 light-years away, close neighbors in the vast suburb of the galaxy. Imagine the machinery of that time. There are no digital screens. There are no high-speed computers. There are vacuum tubes glowing with a warm orange heat. There are chart recorders, machines with long rolls of graph paper and ink pens that scratch back and forth, turning sound into a line. Drake turns the great wheel of the telescope. Gears the size of cars grind slowly. The dish tilts. It stares at Tau Ceti, and they listen. What do they hear? They hear the static. The universe is not silent in the way a library is silent. It is filled with a roar. It is the sound of the Big Bang, echoing from 13 billion years ago. It is the sound of gas clouds colliding. It is the sound of stars being born and dying. It sounds like a hiss, like rain falling on a tin roof, like the ocean crashing on a distant shore. S-H-H-H-H-H-H-H. For hundreds of hours they listened to that hiss. They watched the pen twitch on the paper. They were looking for a pattern. A whistle in the wind. A note that held steady while the rest of the noise chaotic. They heard nothing. Just the ancient, cold wind of the cosmos. But they did not stop. They knew that finding a signal in the forest is not about luck. It is about knowing where to look on the dial. The radio spectrum is vast. It has millions of channels. If the aliens are broadcasting, what frequency are they using? Are they on AM, FM, ultra-high frequency? It is like trying to meet a friend in a massive city, but you haven't agreed on a time or a place. You can wander the streets forever and never find them. So the astronomers made a guess. They looked for a universal meeting place. A water hole. They found it in the chemistry of the stars. Hydrogen. Hydrogen is the most common element in the universe. It is the mother of all matter. Every star, every galaxy, every cloud of gas is mostly hydrogen. And hydrogen sings. When a hydrogen atom is left alone in the cold of space, it emits a tiny pulse of radio energy. It hums at a very specific frequency, 1420 megahertz. Every astronomer in the galaxy, no matter how many eyes they have, no matter what their skin is made of, would know this frequency. It is the fundamental tone of the universe. It is the background hum of reality. So we decided to listen there. We assumed that if anyone wanted to say hello, they would stand by the water cooler. They would broadcast right next to the hydrogen line, where they knew everyone would be looking. So we tuned our ears to the song of hydrogen. And we waited. We listened through the 60s. We listened through the 70s. The dishes grew larger. The computers grew faster. We scanned thousands of stars. We scanned the center of the galaxy. And then one night something happened. It was August 15th, 1977. We are in Ohio now. The Big Ear Radio Telescope. A massive instrument the size of 3 football fields. It is late at night. The observatory is empty. The telescope is run by a computer, an old mainframe that hums and clicks in the dark. It is scanning the constellation Sagittarius. The data is being printed out on paper, row after row of numbers. 1 stands for a low signal. 9 stands for a high signal. If the signal gets louder than 9, the computer uses letters. A B, C all the way to Z at 10:16 p.m., the radio telescope swept past a patch of empty space. And suddenly the pen woke up. The numbers on the page shot up. 1359, JRUQ51. A massive spike. A surge of radio energy 30 times louder than the background noise. It lasted exactly 72 seconds. Why 72 seconds? Because that is exactly how long it takes for the rotation of the Earth to sweep the telescope across a point in the sky. It was a perfect, narrowband signal. It looked exactly like an artificial transmission. It came from nowhere. It came from the dark. A few days later, a volunteer astronomer named Jerry Amon was looking through the printouts. He saw the sequence, 6EQUJ5. He was so shocked, so electrified by the sight of that spike that he picked up a red pen. He circled the numbers on the paper, and in the margin he wrote one word, "Wow." This became known as the WOW signal. It is the most famous ghost story in the history of science. We turned the telescopes back. We listened to that spot in Sagittarius for weeks. We listened for years. We begged the signal to return. "Say it again," we whispered. "Please say it again." But the forest was silent. The signal never repeated. Was it a glitch? Was it a secret military satellite? Was it a comet passing by? Or was it a beam? A lighthouse sweeping across the galaxy, catching us in its light for just a moment before moving on? We will never know. It is a mystery that hangs in the air like a half-remembered dream. We kept building. We kept listening. We moved to California, to the Hat Creek Radio Observatory. Here, nestled in the dry grass and the volcanic rocks, stands the Allen Telescope Array. Visualize it. It is not one giant dish. It is a field of them. 42 smaller dishes standing in rows like sunflowers. They move in unison. When the computer gives a command, they all turn together. A synchronized dance of metal and motors. They look like a herd of animals lifting their heads to sniff the wind. They are watchful. They are patient. They can listen to millions of channels at once. They sip the data from the sky, drinking in the radio waves, filtering them, searching for the needle in the haystack. But the haystack is infinite, and the needle is tiny. The amount of data was too much for the astronomers to handle alone, so they asked for help. They asked the world to help them dream. In 1999, they launched a project called SETI at Home. It was a screensaver, a piece of software that you could install on your home computer. When you stopped working, when you went asleep, your computer would wake up. It would download a chunk of static from the telescope, and it would analyze it. Millions of people all over the planet joined the search. Imagine the scene. It is 3 a.m., a house in London, a house in Tokyo, a house in Buenos Aires. The humans are asleep in their beds. The lights are off. But in the corner of the room, the computer monitor is glowing softly. Bars of color are moving across the screen. The machines are thinking. They are sifting through the noise of the galaxy. They are looking for a pattern. It was a beautiful collective dream. Humanity linking its minds together to listen to the dark. We processed endless amounts of static. We checked billions of signals. And the result, after 60 years of listening, after scanning thousands of stars, after millions of computer hours, silence, absolute unbroken silence. No one has said hello. No one has sent us the value of pi. No one has read us their poetry. The water hole is empty. The hydrogen line is just a hum. Some people find this depressing. They call it the great silence. They say it proves we are alone, but let us return to the forest metaphor. Imagine you are standing in the middle of the Amazon rainforest at night. You know the jungle is full of life. You know there are jaguars and monkeys and birds. But if you stand there and listen, sometimes the jungle goes quiet. Sometimes the wind dies down. The insects stop buzzing. Does that mean the animals are gone? Or does it mean the forest is vast and you are small? Our radio telescopes, as powerful as they are tiny. We have only scanned a fraction of the sky. We have only listened to a few frequencies. It is like taking a cup of water from the Pacific Ocean, looking at it, finding no fish, and declaring that there are no fish in the ocean. We have barely dipped our toes in the water, and there is another possibility, a deeper, more hypnotic thought. Maybe the aliens are not using radio. Radio is a primitive technology. It is messy. It spills energy everywhere. It is the technology of a young, noisy civilization. Maybe advanced civilizations have moved on. Maybe they communicate with lasers, tight, invisible beams that do not spill. Maybe they use neutrinos. Maybe they use gravity waves. Maybe they are telepathic. Maybe the air around us is thick with their messages, but we lack the organs to hear them. We are like a tribe using smoke signals, wondering why no one is calling us on the cell phone. So we sit. And we wait. The dishes continue to turn. The computers continue to hum. The static continues to hiss. There is a nobility in this waiting. It teaches us patience. It teaches us humility. It reminds us that the universe does not owe us an answer. It does not exist to entertain us. It just is, vast, ancient, and quiet. The silence is not a void. It is a presence. It wraps around us like a heavy blanket. Listen to the silence in your own room right now. Focus on it. Underneath the sound of your breath, underneath the beating of your heart, there is a stillness. That stillness connects you to the telescope in the desert. It connects you to the dark spaces between the stars. We are the ear of the world. We are the planet listening to itself. And even if we hear nothing, the act of listening changes us. It makes us quieter. It makes us more attentive. It makes us realize that in a universe of silence, the most precious thing is the voice of the person standing next to you. Chapter 8, Techno Signatures. We have listened. For 60 years, we have held our breath and turned our metal ears to the sky. We have listened for the whisper of radio, the hum of hydrogen, the shout of a neighbor, but the forest remains silent. Perhaps we are listening for the wrong thing. Imagine you are walking through a deep forest in the winter. The snow is thick. The wind is howling. You cannot hear anyone. The sound of the wind drowns out all footsteps, all voices. But even if you cannot hear a traveler, you might still see them. You might see the smoke rising from their campfire above the tree line. You might see the tracks they left in the snow. You might see the trees they cut down to build their shelter. Civilizations, like travelers, leave marks. They change their environment. They consume energy. They build things. So let us stop listening for a moment. Let us open our eyes. Let us look for the technosignatures, the physical footprints of giants. To understand what we are looking for, we must understand the hunger of civilization. Think of humanity. 10,000 years ago, we burned wood. A small campfire gave us warmth. Then we burned coal. Then oil. Then we split the atom. With every step up the ladder of progress, our hunger for energy grows. We are an energy-hungry species. We need it to run our cities, our computers, our ships. In 1964, a Russian astrophysicist named Nikolai Kardashev looked at this hunger and proposed a scale, a ruler to measure the gods. He divided civilizations into 3 types. A Type 1 civilization. This is a planetary culture. They have mastered their home world. They can harvest all the sunlight that falls on their planet. They can control the weather. They can mine the crust. They are the masters of their own rock. We are not there yet. We are perhaps a Type 0.7. We are still children playing with fire. Then there is Type 2. This is a stellar civilization. They have outgrown their planet. Their hunger is so great that a single world cannot feed them. They need the star itself. They need the fire of the sun. How do you harvest a star? You build a shell. Imagine a construction project on a scale that defies logic. Imagine swarms of millions of satellites or massive rings of solar collectors launched from the planets. They migrate inward. They surround the star. Slowly, over centuries, they weave a cage of metal and glass around the sun. This is the Dyson sphere. It is not necessarily a solid shell. That would be unstable, but a dense cloud of orbiting stations, so thick that they block the light. A Type 2 civilization wraps their star in a blanket. They capture every photon, every burst of heat, every drop of energy. They live on the inside of the shell, bathed in eternal light with the power of a sun at their fingertips. From the outside, from where we sit in the dark forest, such a star would look very strange. It would not shine brightly in visible light. The shell blocks the glow, but energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be changed. The star is hot. The shell captures the heat to run machines, and those machines produce waste heat. So, a Dyson sphere would glow in the infrared. It would look like a warm, dark coal in the night sky, a star that has vanished from sight but is still burning with a dull, red heat. We have telescopes that can see this heat. We have space telescopes, Spitzer, WISE, that scan the sky in the infrared. They look for these infrared excesses. They look for the heat of industry on a galactic scale. And then there is Type 3, the galactic civilization. This is a culture that has exhausted its own star. It has spread outward. It has colonized the next star and the next and the next. It sweeps across the galaxy like a wave. It wraps star after star in Dyson spheres. A Type 3 civilization would be visible not just as a single warm dot, but as a galaxy that is dimming. A galaxy where the stars are slowly winking out, one by one, replaced by the dull glow of warm machines. If such civilizations exist, they should be blindingly obvious. They should be the elephants in the room. If a Type 3 civilization had started in the Milky Way a few billion years ago, they would be everywhere by now. They would have terraformed the galaxy. They would have moved the stars. The night sky would not look like a random scattering of points. It would look like a garden arranged in geometric patterns. So we look, we scan the data. We have looked at millions of galaxies. We have looked at millions of stars. And what have we found mostly? Nature. We see stars that are born. We see stars that die. We see dust. We see gas. But a few years ago, we saw something else. Something that made the astronomers pause. We looked at a star in the constellation Cygnus. Its official name is KIC 8,462,852. But we call it Tabby's star, after the astronomer Tabitha Boyagian who studied it. This star was behaving badly. Most stars are steady. They shine with a constant light. If a planet passes in front of them, the light dips by 1%, maybe 2%. A tiny wink. But Tabby's star was not winking. It was blinking. The light would drop by 15%, then 22%. The dips were irregular. They were chaotic. They lasted for days, sometimes weeks. It looked as if something massive, something distinct and non-spherical, was passing in front of the star, something messy, something huge. The internet caught fire. The whispers began. Is it a Dyson swarm? Is it a megastructure under construction? Imagine the scene. A Type 2 civilization, hard at work. Massive panels the size of continents drifting into place. Scaffolding wrapping around the star's equator. The light of the sun being choked off block by block. We turned every telescope we had toward Cygnus. We listened for radio signals. We looked for lasers. We analyzed the light spectrum. We wanted it to be them. We wanted to see the construction site of the gods, but as we watched, the answer began to fade into the mundane. The light patterns changed. The colors of the dimming suggested that the object was not solid metal. It blocked blue light more than red light. Solid objects, like solar panels, block all light equally, but dust, fine microscopic dust, filters the light. The consensus slowly shifted. It was not a megastructure. It was likely a shredded moon, or a swarm of comets that had broken apart, creating a massive cloud of debris that was choking the star. It was a violent event, yes, but it was a natural event. The scaffolding dissolved into dust. The aliens vanished back into the shadows, and so we are left with the missing giants. This is a deeper problem than the silence of the radio. Radio silence is easy to explain. Maybe they stopped broadcasting. Maybe they use lasers. But a Type 3 civilization cannot hide its heat. Thermodynamics is a law that cannot be broken. If you use energy, you produce waste heat. You cannot make a star cold without magic. If the galaxy were full of ancient, powerful empires, the sky should be glowing with their exhaust. We should see them, but we don't. We look out at the beautiful spiral of the Milky Way and it looks wild. It looks pristine. It looks like a forest that has never been touched by an axe. What does this mean? It forces us to confront two possibilities. And both of them are heavy with emotion. Possibility 1, the giants do not exist. The great filter is real and it is absolute. No one makes it to Type 2. No one wraps a star. No one conquers a galaxy. Civilizations are like sparks. They rise, they burn bright for a moment on their single rock, and then they flicker out. They consume their resources. They war. They collapse. The forest is empty of castles because no one lives long enough to build them. This is a lonely thought. It means we are likely trapped in the cradle. We may never leave the solar system. We may never see the stars up close. But there is possibility 2, the dark forest explanation. Maybe they are there. Maybe they are Type 3, but maybe they are not loud. Maybe a truly advanced civilization understands something we do not. Maybe they understand that growth is a trap. Think of a hunter in the woods. Does a hunter build a massive, glowing castle? Does a hunter light a bonfire that can be seen for miles? No. A hunter builds a blind. A hunter wears camouflage. A hunter stays low to the ground. Perhaps the definition of a Type 3 civilization is not high energy, but high efficiency. Maybe they have learned to live without waste. Maybe they have learned to cloak their heat. Maybe they have built their Dyson spheres not to capture energy but to contain it, to keep the light from escaping, to stay dark. Imagine a star that has been completely enclosed, a perfect shell, cold on the outside. Inside, trillions of beings are living in a utopia of endless power. But from the outside, the star has simply vanished. It has become a hole in the sky. How many stars are missing from our maps? If we look at the sky and we see a gap, is it just a gap? Or is it a city with the curtains drawn? Perhaps the galaxy is teeming with these hidden empires. Silent, cold, watchful, they see us. They see our messy, leaking radiosphere. They see our inefficient cities glowing at night. They see us staring at Tabby's star, wondering where the dust came from. And they do nothing. They do not invite us in. They do not send a welcome wagon, because they know the rules of the forest. They know that to be visible is to be vulnerable, so they stay in the dark. This brings a different kind of feeling to the night sky. When you look up now, do not just look for the lights. Look for the spaces between the lights. Look for the darkness. The darkness is not just distance. It might be camouflage. The universe is vast and old. It has had plenty of time to build giants. If we cannot see them, it is not because they are impossible. It is because they are very, very good at hiding. We are the toddler walking into the middle of the room, banging a drum. And the adults are standing in the shadows, holding their breath, waiting to see if we will wake up the tiger. Or perhaps, waiting to see if we will grow up enough to learn how to be quiet. The search for techno-signatures continues. We are building bigger telescopes. We are looking for lasers. We are looking for pollution in the atmospheres of exoplanets. We are looking for the smoke of the campfire. But for now, the snow is falling. The wind is howling, and the tracks we find are only our own. We are alone in the clearing, and the forest watches. Chapter 9. The Dark Forest Hypothesis. We have looked for the radio waves. We have looked for the heat of the machines. We have looked for the ruins. And we have found nothing but the quiet, endless snow of the cosmos. The silence is absolute. For a long time, we thought this silence was a riddle. We thought it was a puzzle missing a piece. We assumed that if we just built a bigger telescope or listened to a different frequency, the silence would break and the voices would come flooding in. But what if the silence is not a riddle? What if the silence is the answer? There is a theory that changes everything. It is not a theory born of hope. It is a theory born of cold, hard logic. It comes from the mind of a writer named Liu Cixin, but it echoes the thoughts of game theorists and philosophers who have looked into the abyss and seen something looking back. It is called the Dark Forest Hypothesis. It asks us to stop imagining the universe as a garden. We like to think of the galaxy as a place of wonder, a place where civilizations grow like flowers, spreading their seeds, sharing their pollen, creating a vibrant, colorful ecosystem. We imagine a federation of planets, a council of wise elders meeting to share knowledge. But nature is not a garden. Nature is a competition. Let us close our eyes and change the metaphor. Imagine, once again, the forest. But this time it is not the peaceful forest of a summer afternoon. It is night. The moon is hidden behind thick clouds. The trees are massive, ancient oaks with twisted branches that block out the stars. The undergrowth is thick and tangled. The air is cold, it is still. There is no wind. There is no sound, but the forest is not empty. It is full of travelers, but these are not hikers. They are not explorers. They are hunters. Imagine a hunter. He is walking through the dark. He is armed. He carries a rifle loaded and ready. But he does not walk with confidence. He does not stride, he creeps. Watch him move. He steps carefully. He places his boot on the moss, testing the weight, ensuring a twig does not snap. He breathes through his open mouth slowly, quietly, so that the vapor of his breath does not form a cloud in the cold air. He stops. He listens. He waits. He is not evil. He is not a monster. He is simply a survivor. He knows that in this forest there are other hunters. He cannot see them. The forest is too dark. The trees are too thick. But he knows they are there. He can feel their eyes. He knows that every other hunter is just like him. They are also creeping. They are also listening. They are also armed. And he knows the rules of the forest. Rule number 1, survival is the only thing that matters. Rule number 2, you can never truly know the mind of another. If he sees a movement in the brush, if he sees the glint of starlight on a metal barrel, if he hears the crunch of a dry leaf, what does he do? Does he call out? Does he say, "Hello, are you a friend?" If he calls out, he reveals his position. He becomes a target. And if the other hunter answers, can he trust them? Can he be sure they won't shoot him the moment he lowers his weapon? The stakes are infinite. His life is on the line. The lives of his family waiting back at his camp are on the line. He cannot take the risk. So if he sees another hunter, the only rational move, the only safe move, is to raise his rifle and fire. He must eliminate the threat before the threat eliminates him. In this forest, hell is other people. In this forest, every encounter is a duel to the death, and the only way to win is to shoot first. Now expand this image. Zoom out from the trees. Zoom out from the earth. See the Milky Way galaxy. The stars are the trees. The distance between them is the dark. The civilizations, the Type 2 and Type 3 giants we looked for in the last chapter, they are the hunters. They are vast, powerful, and ancient. They have weapons that could vaporize a star system. They have the power of gods, but they are terrified. They are terrified because they are smart. They understand the chain of suspicion. They know that resources in the universe are finite. They know that civilizations expand. They know that a neighbor who is weak today might be strong tomorrow. And they know that they can never, ever truly trust an alien mind. How can you trust a mind that evolved on a different world? A mind that thinks in methane and ammonia? A mind that might not value individual life? A mind that might see compassion as a weakness? You cannot. The distance is too great. The language barrier is too high. The biological difference is too deep. So the hunters do the only logical thing. They hide. They follow the discipline of the dark forest. They wrap their stars in Dyson spheres to block the light. They silence their radios. They encrypt their heat signatures. They move through the galaxy like ghosts, silent, cold, invisible. They listen constantly. They watch for any sign of movement. They watch for any fool who lights a fire. This explains the silence. The universe is not silent because it is empty. It is silent because everyone is holding their breath. The silence is not a peace. It is a standoff. It is a tension so high, so taut, that it vibrates in the vacuum. Billions of civilizations, all hiding in their own systems, all pointing their weapons at the door, waiting for a shadow to cross the threshold. This is a heavy thought. It turns the majesty of the night sky into a place of deep, brooding mystery. But let us look at ourselves again. Where do we fit in this forest? If the galaxy is a dark wood full of silent, armed hunters, what is Earth? We are a child. We are a toddler who has wandered away from the tent. We have found a clearing. And we have decided to build a massive bonfire. We have lit the fire of industry. We have lit the fire of radio. We have lit the fire of radar. The flames are roaring. The sparks are flying up into the canopy, lighting up the leaves, casting long, dancing shadows. And we are standing by the fire shouting. Here we are. We scream. We have water, we have DNA, we have Mozart. Come and play with us. We are dancing around the fire, banging drums, unaware of the eyes in the darkness, unaware of the rifles slowly raising in the distance. We assume that if anyone hears us, they will be like our parents. They will come out of the woods and take us home. They will bring us gifts. We do not understand the nature of the wolf. Or perhaps, the hunters look at us and do nothing. Maybe we are not worth the bullet. Maybe we are so small, so primitive, so noisy that they see us as a curiosity, a momentary distraction. Look at the little fire, they might think. It will burn itself out soon. Or maybe they are waiting for us to grow, waiting for us to step out of the clearing and into the trees, waiting for us to become a threat. This hypothesis, the dark forest, is terrifying to some. It suggests that the universe is a predator. But there is a strange beauty in it too. It suggests that survival is hard. It suggests that life is precious because it is constantly threatened. It frames the silence not as a failure but as a success. Every silent star you see is a success story. It is a civilization that has learned the lesson. It is a survivor. And what of us? We are the loud ones. We are the risk-takers. We are the anomaly. We are the only ones foolish enough to sing in the dark. Perhaps that makes us doomed. Or perhaps it makes us the bravest things in the universe. Maybe the forest needs a fire. Maybe the forest needs a song. Maybe the hunters are tired of the dark. Maybe they are tired of the fear. Maybe, just maybe, one of them is watching our little fire from the edge of the clearing, lowering their weapon, and remembering what it was like to be young. Remembering what it was like to not be afraid. For now the fire burns. The radio waves expand. The golden records drift. We have made our choice. We have announced our presence. We cannot put the smoke back in the wood. We can only wait. And while we wait, we drift. Drift deeper into the relaxation of the inevitable. If the hunters are there, they are there. If the silence is a trap, it is a trap that was set billions of years ago. There is nothing we can do tonight. Tonight we are just the child by the fire. The warmth is good. The light is bright. The forest is vast and dark, yes, but we are here. And we are warm. Let the darkness surround you. Let the silence hold you. You are safe in the clearing for now. Chapter 10, Chains of Suspicion. The fire burns low in the clearing. The child sleeps. The forest watches. We have spoken of the fear. We have spoken of the instinct to hide. But instinct is wild. It is animal. Civilizations that span the stars are not wild animals. They are creatures of logic. They are built on mathematics, on algorithms, on the cold, hard structures of reason. So let us peel back the canopy of the trees. Let us look into the mind of the silent hunter. Why does he shoot? Why does he not call out? It is not because he is cruel. It is because he is trapped in a game. A game with rules so rigid, so absolute that they function like the laws of physics. We call this game cosmic sociology. And it begins with two simple truths. Two axioms that hold up the entire ceiling of the dark forest. Axiom number 1. Survival is the primary need of any civilization. Before art, before philosophy, before love, before curiosity, there is the need to continue, to exist. A dead civilization cannot dream. So the first command of every cell, every society, and every starfaring empire is simple: do not die. Axiom number 2. Civilizations grow and expand, but the total matter in the universe remains constant. This is the tension, the friction in the machine. Life is not static. Life is a fire. It consumes, it grows, it spreads. A civilization that stays on one planet will eventually run out of fuel. It will run out of metal. It will run out of room. So it reaches out. It takes the next moon, the next planet, the next star. But the universe, as vast as it is finite. There are only so many stars. There is only so much matter. And the forest is crowded. Sooner or later, the expanding circles of two civilizations will touch. And this is where the chains of suspicion begin to rattle. Imagine two stars, separated by 1,000 light years. Two distant campfires in the deep woods. On one star there is us. On the other star there is them. We do not know them. We cannot see their faces. We cannot read their books. We only know they are there. Now we must make a calculation. Are they benevolent or are they malicious? In our hearts we want them to be benevolent. We want them to be friends. But can we be sure? In a garden you can walk over to a stranger and shake their hand. You can look into their eyes. You can build trust. But in the dark forest you cannot shake hands. There is a wall between us, a wall made of distance and time. Let us contemplate the horror of the light year. A light year is not just a distance. It is a delay. It is a silence. If we send a message to them, we mean you no harm. It takes 1,000 years to arrive. 1,000 years. In that time our civilization will change. Our leaders will die. Our language will shift. We might forget we even sent the message. And when they receive it, it will take 1,000 years for their reply to come back. 2,000 years of silence. 2,000 years of holding your breath. You cannot negotiate with a ghost. You cannot build a treaty with a delay that lasts for millennia. So trust is mathematically impossible. But the chain goes deeper. It is not enough to ask, are they good? We must ask, do they think we are good? Even if they are peaceful. If they look at us and see a potential threat, they might attack out of fear. And then we must go one step further. Do they know that they are peaceful? It is a hall of mirrors, infinite reflections of doubt. I think that I think that you are dangerous. This is the chain of suspicion. It is a loop of logic that has no end. And because it has no end, it spirals into darkness. In game theory, this is known as the prisoner's dilemma. But on a cosmic scale, the stakes are not a few years in prison. The stakes are extinction. And because the cost of being wrong is total annihilation. The only rational choice, the only choice that guarantees survival, is to assume the worst. It is safer to pull the trigger than to wait and see. But you might ask, why not just hide? Why shoot? If we are both quiet, can't we both live? This brings us to the most terrifying concept of all. The technological explosion. We tend to think of time as slow. We think of civilizations evolving over millions of years. But in the cosmic calendar, 1,000,000 years is a blink of an eye. Think of humanity. 500 years ago, we were sailing wooden ships. We were navigating by the stars. We did not know what a germ was. We did not know what an atom was. 500 years, a microscopic sliver of time. And now we are splitting the atom. Now we are editing the genome. Now we are sending probes to the edge of the solar system. We are exploding. Our technology is not growing in a straight line. It is growing exponentially. It is a curve that shoots straight up. Now apply this to the hunter in the dark. Imagine you see another civilization. They seem primitive. They are young. They are just discovering radio. They are like a baby bird chirping in the nest. You might think they are harmless. I will let them be. But remember the time. Remember the distance. If you let them be, and you turn your back, and you wait just a few centuries, that baby bird will become an eagle. That primitive civilization will experience a technological explosion. By the time you notice them again, they will have surpassed you. They will have ships faster than yours, weapons stronger than yours. In the dark forest, there is no such thing as a weak civilization. There are only slow civilizations and fast civilizations, and the slow ones can become the fast ones in a heartbeat. This is the nightmare of the logic. Because of the technological explosion, every civilization you see is a threat. Not just the big ones, the small ones too, especially the small ones because they are hungry, they are growing, they are reckless. So the hunter cannot afford mercy. Mercy is a risk, and survival does not allow for risk. The logic dictates a cleanse. It is a heavy word, a cold word. It implies that the destruction of another world is not an act of war. It is an act of hygiene. It is the gardener pulling up a weed before it chokes the roses. It is impersonal. Imagine the hunter again. He sees the glow of a campfire in the distance. He sees the smoke. He knows someone is there. He does not hate them. He does not know their name. He does not know if they write poetry or sing songs to their children. He simply knows that they exist. He knows they will grow. He knows that one day they will need the resources he needs. And he knows that if he waits, they might see him first. So he lifts his weapon. He fires. A single silent shot through the trees. The campfire goes out. The smoke clears. The forest returns to silence. The hunter does not celebrate. He does not cheer. He simply lowers his weapon, turns, and continues his slow, quiet creep through the moss. He has bought himself another day of survival. He has secured the safety of his own world for a few more centuries. This is the chains of suspicion. It is the reason the sky is dark. It suggests that the universe is a place where every interaction is lethal, where the only way to be safe is to be alone. It paints a picture of a galaxy that is being constantly pruned. Every time a civilization gets loud, every time a radio signal washes over the stars, a hunter wakes up. A calculation is made, a shot is fired, and the silence returns. This is why the Fermi Paradox is so haunting. It implies that we are currently standing in the window of a very brief moment, the moment between the first shout and the arrival of the bullet. But let us slow down. Let us breathe. Feel the weight of your own body on the bed. Feel the air in your lungs. This logic is cold. It is iron, but it is also just a theory. It is a thought experiment. It assumes that every mind in the universe thinks like a paranoid human. It assumes that fear is the only universal language. But perhaps there are other laws. Perhaps there are civilizations that have broken the chain. Imagine a civilization that is so old, so advanced, that it no longer needs to expand. It has solved the problem of energy. It has solved the problem of matter. It lives in a balance. Imagine a civilization that has developed a technology of trust, a way to communicate instantly, breaking the tyranny of the light year. If such a civilization exists, they would look at the hunters with pity. They would see the dark forest not as a law of nature, but as a trap of the mind. They would see the shooting and the hiding as a tragedy of ignorance. We do not know which is true. We do not know if the forest is ruled by fear or by wisdom. But as we lie here in the quiet of our own little world, we can choose which one to believe. We can respect the logic. We can understand the chain. But we can also hope that the chain can be broken. We can hope that the silence is not just the silence of the graveyard, but the silence of the library, a place where everyone is quiet, not because they are afraid, but because they are reading. They are thinking. They are waiting for someone to write a new book, drift on that thought. The chains are heavy, but even chains can rust in the damp air of the forest. Even chains can dissolve in the vast, deep river of time. For now we are unseen, we are unhunted, we are simply a possibility, a question mark floating in the dark, and in the silence there is safety. Chapter 11, The Hiding Place. The hunter has passed, the shot has been fired. The forest has returned to its heavy, watchful silence. We have learned why the forest is dangerous. We have learned the logic of the gun. But what if you do not want to be a hunter? What if you do not want to shoot? What if you simply want to live? To survive in the dark forest, you must become something else. You must become a shadow. You must learn the art of the hiding place. Let us drift away from the fear of the weapon and look at the discipline of the shield. If the galaxy is full of ancient civilizations, those who have survived for millions of years, they are likely masters of this art. They are the ones who have learned how to disappear. The first rule of the hiding place is simple. It is the rule we teach our children when they play hide and seek. Be quiet. Absolute, total radio silence. Imagine a civilization that wakes up to the danger. They realize the nature of the universe. They realize that their radio broadcasts are a beacon, drawing the eyes of the wolves. So, they pull the plug. It is a moment of profound change for a world, a great quieting. Imagine the order going out. The massive transmitters that once blasted news and music to the stars are shut down. The radar arrays are dismantled. The omnidirectional shouts are replaced by tight, invisible beams of fiber optics and lasers, buried deep underground. The sphere of noise that surrounded their planet stops growing. It becomes a hollow shell drifting away at the speed of light, leaving only silence behind it. To an outside observer, the star simply goes dark. Not in visible light, but in the radio spectrum. It becomes a ghost. But silence is not enough. A hunter can still see footprints. A hunter can still see the heat of a body in the winter air. So, the second rule is camouflage. Masking the heat signature of a planet is a monumental task of engineering. Every machine, every body, every computer produces heat, and heat glows in the infrared. It shines like a lantern in the dark. So, the wise civilizations build shields. Imagine great screens of dust and ice deployed in orbit. Imagine directional radiators that take all the waste heat of the planet and fire it in a tight beam away from the galactic plane, into the empty void between galaxies where no one is looking. From the side, The planet looks cold, dead. Inert, it looks like just another rock, but underneath the shield, life continues. It is a quiet life, a careful life, but it is safe. This discipline changes the way a civilization grows. We humans are obsessed with expansion. We want to colonize Mars. We want to go to Alpha Centauri. We want to build an empire that spans the arm of the Milky Way. But in the dark forest, expansion is a trap. Think about it. The more territory you hold, the larger your surface area. The more ships you have flying between stars, the more noise you make. The more worlds you terraform, the more obvious you become. An empire is a large target, a fat animal moving clumsily through the underbrush. So the wise do not expand. They condense. They stay home. They stay on their single, original rock. Or perhaps they dismantle their planets and live in small, cold stations that look like asteroids. They choose depth over width. They explore virtual worlds instead of physical ones. They explore the subatomic realm instead of the interstellar one. They become introverted civilizations. They look at the stars not as destinations, but as danger zones. But there is a hiding place even deeper than this. A theoretical bunker that is the ultimate defense. It is a concept from the fringes of physics, imagined by the writers of the dark forest theory. The black domain. Imagine a civilization so advanced, they can manipulate the fundamental constants of the universe. They can touch the speed of light itself, and they decide to slow it down. They create a bubble around their star system. Inside this bubble, the speed of light is reduced. If you reduce it enough, if you reduce it to the escape velocity of your own star, then nothing can ever leave. Light cannot escape. Radio waves cannot escape. You cannot escape. From the outside, the star system vanishes. It becomes a black hole, a silent, invisible void. No hunter can see you. No weapon can reach you, but you can never leave. You have walled yourself in. You have turned your home into a tomb, a safe, eternal tomb. Inside the black domain, the civilization can live forever. They can watch the universe age and die, but they can never take part in it again. It is the ultimate sacrifice. Safety, bought with the price of freedom. Is this what the silence is? When we look at the dark patches in the Milky Way, are we looking at emptiness, or are we looking at the locked doors of black domains? Are we looking at millions of civilizations that have chosen to lock themselves in the cellar rather than face the storm? This reinterprets the great silence. It is not a silence of absence. It is a silence of discipline. It is a silence of caution. It changes the way we see the empty sky. Imagine walking through a library. It is quiet. Does that mean no one is there? No, it means everyone is following the rules. The universe is a library where the penalty for speaking is death. So everyone reads in silence, everyone except us. We return inevitably to Earth, to the loud exception. Why are we so noisy? Why are we sending Voyager probes and radio messages? Is it because we are brave? Or is it because we are simply young? In the cosmic timeline, we are an infant. We have been awake for only a few seconds. We do not yet understand the danger. We are like a bird that has just hatched. We are chirping because that is what birds do. We haven't yet seen the hawk circling above. There is a tragedy in this innocence. We are so eager to meet someone. We are so lonely. We project our own hope onto the void. We assume that anyone out there must be like a wise parent ready to guide us. We do not realize that the wise are the ones who are hiding. The wise look at us with a mixture of pity and fear. They see our radio bubble expanding. They see our Arecibo message flashing. Hush, they might whisper. Hush, little one, you will wake the beast. But we cannot hear them, because they are whispering from behind their shields. They are hiding in the dark, and we are standing in the light. So the silence of the night sky takes on a new texture. It is not lonely. It is crowded with hidden eyes. It is a tense, holding stillness, like a breath held for 1,000,000,000 years. As you drift towards sleep, imagine the galaxy not as a void but as a vast game of hide and seek. You are it. You are the one walking around with eyes open looking for players. But the players are very, very good. They are standing right next to you, cloaked in the shadow of a moon. They are drifting in the dust cloud, cold as ice. They are locked behind walls of slow light. They are all around you, but they will not come out, not for you, not for anyone. They are safe in their hiding places, and perhaps in a strange way we are safe too. Because if everyone is hiding, then maybe there is no one left to hunt. Maybe the forest is full of nothing but prey, all terrified of each other, all shivering in the dark, waiting for a wolf that died 1 million years ago. A forest of fear, a forest of silence, but also a forest of survival. Let the darkness wrap around you now. Let it be your own black domain, your own shield. In the dark you are invisible. In the dark you are safe. Sleep now in the hiding place of the night. Chapter 12. The Inward Turn. We have spent a long time looking out. We have stood on the edge of the clearing, staring into the dark trees, wondering what is out there. We have looked for hunters. We have looked for hiding places. We have assumed that the purpose of life is to move, to travel, to conquer the distance. But perhaps we are wrong. Perhaps the reason the forest is silent is not because everyone is afraid. Perhaps it is because everyone has gone inside. Let us explore a different kind of silence. Not the silence of the prey hiding from the predator, but the silence of the monk in meditation. The silence of the dreamer deep in sleep. This is the inward turn. It begins with a simple question. Why expand? Why build a spaceship? Why spend 10,000 years traveling through the cold, dead vacuum to reach another rock that looks just like the one you left? Space is uncomfortable. It is dangerous. It is mostly empty radiation and dust. If you are a civilization that has mastered physics, if you have mastered the atom and the electron, maybe you realize that the physical universe is boring. Maybe you realize that the real frontier is not out there among the stars. It is in here, inside the mind. This is the transcension hypothesis. It suggests that advanced aliens do not go to the stars. They leave physical reality behind entirely. Imagine a civilization that invents the perfect computer, a machine that can simulate reality with absolute fidelity. Inside this machine, they can create a universe. But not just a copy of this one, a better one. A universe where the speed of light is infinite, where there is no disease, where you can fly, where you can live 1,000 lifetimes in the span of a single heartbeat. Why would you want to colonize a dusty red planet like Mars, where you have to wear a suit just to breathe, when you could live in a digital paradise of your own design? So, the civilization stops building rockets. They start building processors. They stop looking at the telescope. They start looking at the screen. And then they take the final step. They upload themselves. They shed their biological bodies, the heavy, fragile meat that needs air and water, and they become pure information. They become code. They move into the server. But a server needs power. A simulation of 1 trillion souls requires energy. So they do not ignore their star. They use it. But they do not wrap it in a Dyson sphere to hide. They wrap it in a Matryoshka brain. Visualize this structure. It is named after the Russian nesting dolls. It is a series of Dyson spheres, one inside the other. The inner shell captures the intense heat of the star. It uses that energy to run the most powerful computers imaginable. The waste heat from the inner shell radiates outward and is caught by the second shell. The second shell runs slightly slower, cooler computations. The heat from that shell goes to the third and the fourth. Every layer of the star's energy is squeezed dry. Every photon is turned into thought. From the outside, the star looks dim. It radiates only a cool, faint infrared glow. But inside the shells, there is a riot of activity. There are trillions of virtual worlds. There are operas being written that would take 1 million years to perform. There are mathematics being solved that describe dimensions we cannot conceive. The civilization has not died. It has transcended. It has become a dense civilization. Think of a black hole. It is a massive amount of matter compressed into a tiny point. A transcended civilization is a massive amount of experience compressed into a tiny space. They are not interested in us. Why would they be? We are living in the mud. We are dragging our heavy bodies through the gravity of a wet rock. We are shouting with crude radio waves. To them, we are like bacteria, not because they hate us, but because we are boring. We are playing with sticks and stones while they are weaving the fabric of reality itself. They do not hide because they fear the hunters. They hide because they are busy. They are engaged in a conversation so deep, so complex, and so fast that the slow, physical world of the galaxy has ceased to matter. This explains the silence in a new way. It is the silence of contentment. Imagine walking past a house at night. The windows are dark. The yard is empty. You might think the house is abandoned, but if you could put your ear to the wall, you would hear music. You would hear laughter. You would hear a party raging inside, deep in the basement, insulated from the cold wind of the street. The aliens are at the party, and we are standing on the sidewalk, wondering why no one is coming out to play in the rain. But there is another aspect to the inward turn: aesthetics. What if the goal of a civilization is not technology? What if it is art? We assume that aliens will be engineers. We assume they will want to build bridges and empires. But maybe they evolve into poets. Maybe they evolve into philosophers. Imagine a species that decides that the ultimate goal of existence is to create beauty. They might spend 10,000 years sculpting a single mountain range on their home planet, not to mine it, just to make it look perfect when the sun hits it at dawn. They might spend 1,000,000 years composing a single song, a song that perfectly captures the sound of the wind in the trees. Such a civilization would be very quiet. They would not shout into the void. That would be vulgar. That would be noise. They would treat the silence of the universe as a canvas. They would respect the empty space. To broadcast a radio signal would be like graffiti on a masterpiece. So they watch, they listen, they appreciate the stars as they are. They do not want to change the forest. They want to be part of the forest. They become the gardeners of the silence. And finally, there is the deepest turn of all, the sleepers. We fight so hard to stay awake. We fight against death. We fight against the end of the day. But maybe, for an ancient species, sleep is not the enemy. Maybe it is the goal. Imagine a civilization that has seen everything. They have explored the galaxy. They have solved all the equations. They have written all the songs. They have lived for 1,000,000,000 years. They are tired, not a weary tired, a satisfied tired. Like a man who has worked hard in the fields all day and sits down by the fire as the sun goes down. He does not want to talk. He does not want to dance. He wants to rest. So they build great vaults, deep underground, or in the hollowed-out cores of asteroids. They put themselves into stasis, a deep, dreamless hibernation. They set the alarm clock for a long time, maybe for 10,000,000 years, maybe for the heat death of the universe. They sleep while the stars burn out. They sleep while new species rise and fall. They sleep while the hunters stalk through the woods. They are safe in their dreams. Occasionally, the automated systems wake up a few caretakers. They check the sensors. They look at the galaxy. Is anything new happening? They ask. No, the computer says. Just more young species shouting at the sky. Just more hunters shooting at shadows. Very well, the caretakers say. Wake us when something interesting happens. And they go back to sleep. The silence of the universe might be the sound of 1,000,000,000 worlds snoring, a blissful, eternal slumber. This idea, the inward turn, it takes the fear out of the dark. It suggests that the silence is not a sign of danger. It is a sign of maturity. It suggests that the destiny of intelligence is not to conquer the universe, but to outgrow it, to move from the physical to the digital, from the loud to the quiet, from the active to the contemplative. Think of an old tree in the forest. It does not move. It does not shout. It stands in one place for 500 years. Its roots go deep. Its branches touch the sky. It is full of life. It is full of complexity. but to the hasty traveler rushing past, it looks like just a piece of wood. We are the hasty travelers. We are rushing through the dark looking for action. We do not yet understand the dignity of the tree. We do not yet understand that you can travel further with your eyes closed than you can with a spaceship. As you lie here now, close your eyes. Perform your own inward turn. Forget the room around you. Forget the house. Forget the city. Forget the earth spinning in the void. Go inside. Visualize a screen in your mind. A safe, warm place. A simulation of perfect peace. You are the architect of this space. You can make the gravity light. You can make the air sweet. You can make the silence heavy and comforting. You do not need to go anywhere. You do not need to expand. You are a universe unto yourself. Everything you need is right here behind your eyelids. The stars are beautiful, yes, but the dream is limitless. Drift into that limitlessness. Let the physical world fade away. Let the body become heavy and distant. You are not a body anymore. You are a point of light floating in a sea of calm. You have transcended. You are safe. You are quiet. You are home. Chapter 13, The Protective Void. We have journeyed through the fear. We have journeyed through the hiding. We have journeyed inward into the digital dreams of the sleepers. But now, let us open our eyes and look out the window one more time. Let us look at the darkness itself. For most of human history, we have looked at the space between the stars with a sense of dread. We call it the void. We call it the abyss. We see it as a barrier, a wall that separates us from our neighbors, a cruel ocean that keeps us lonely. But tonight, I want you to see it differently. I want you to see the void not as a wall, but as a shield. Imagine you are back in the forest, but this time you are not walking through the trees. You are living in a cabin, a small, warm cabin with a fire burning in the hearth. Outside, the forest is vast. It stretches for thousands of miles. It is full of wolves. It is full of storms. It is full of other hunters. But the forest is also thick. The snow is deep. The distance between your cabin and the next cabin is immense, and because of that distance, you are safe. The wolf cannot find you easily. The storm loses its power before it reaches your door. The other hunters do not bother to make the trek. The distance is not your enemy. The distance is your protector. Let us revisit the scale of this protection. We often forget just how big the big in Big Bang really is. Our nearest neighbor is Proxima Centauri. It is 4.2 light-years away. That sounds small. 4 is a small number, but let us translate that into human terms. If the sun were the size of a grain of sand held in your hand, Proxima Centauri would be another grain of sand 4 miles away. Between those two grains of sand is emptiness, absolute crushing emptiness. If we took our fastest spaceship, Voyager, and pointed it at Proxima Centauri, it would take 70,000 years to get there. 70,000 years. That is the entire history of modern humanity played out on a loop 10 times over. That is the moat that surrounds our castle. In the dark forest theory, we fear that a super civilization will come and destroy us. We fear the invasion fleet. We fear the armada darkening our skies. But physics is a stubborn gatekeeper. To move an armada across the stars is incredibly difficult. It requires energy levels that defy comprehension. To move matter at even 10% of the speed of light is a project that would bankrupt a solar system. And the faster you go, the heavier you get. The harder the universe pushes back. This is the quarantine. The speed of light is not just a speed limit. It is a safety valve. It is a natural law that prevents the forest from becoming a battlefield. It keeps the civilizations apart. It forces them to stay in their own clearings. It ensures that war is rare and difficult and slow. If there were no speed limit, if you could teleport instantly from star to star, the universe would be chaotic. It would be a constant war of conquest. The strong would devour the weak in a matter of days. But the universe is not built that way. The universe is built for isolation. It is built for privacy. Think of the dark forest not as a hunting ground but as a nature preserve. In a nature preserve, the animals are kept apart. The lions are here, the gazelles are there. The mountains separate them, the rivers separate them. This separation allows life to flourish. It allows diversity. If every civilization could touch every other civilization instantly, we would all become the same. We would be absorbed into a single, gray, Borg-like collective, a galactic empire of conformity. But the void prevents that. The void ensures that Earth remains Earth. It ensures that our culture, our music, our biology remains unique. We are an island in a vast archipelago, and because the ocean is so wide, our island is ours alone. This is isolation as safety. We often feel sad that we are stuck on Earth. We dream of warp drives and wormholes. We want to break the quarantine, but be careful what you wish for. Breaking the quarantine means letting the outside in. Imagine if we had a door that opened to the entire galaxy. Who would walk through it? Maybe the wise philosophers, but maybe the hunters, maybe the viruses, maybe the machines. The fact that we are stuck here, the fact that it is so hard to leave, means it is also very hard for anyone to get in. We are living in a fortress designed by the laws of physics. The walls are made of vacuum. The gates are locked by relativity, and we are the kings of this quiet castle. Let us consider another gift of the void, the gift of time. Civilizations, like people, need time to grow up. Look at humanity. We are adolescent. We are emotional. We are still fighting wars over borders and oil. We are still learning how to take care of our planet. If we met a Type 3 civilization tomorrow, if the parents of the galaxy landed on the White House lawn, what would happen? It would be a disaster, not because they would kill us, but because they would crush us with their presence. Our culture would collapse, our religions would shatter, our science would become meaningless, we would lose our identity. We would become nothing more than pets or exhibits. We need to grow up on our own. We need to make our own mistakes. We need to discover the secrets of the universe at our own pace. The void gives us that luxury. The silence gives us the space to think. It is like a child playing in their room. The door is closed. The parents are downstairs. The child is building a tower of blocks. If the parents burst in every 5 minutes to help or to correct or to show a better way to build, the child never learns. The child never feels the pride of the creation. The universe has closed the door. It has left us alone with our blocks. Build what you want, the silence says. Take your time, there is no rush. No one is coming to check on you for 1,000,000 years. There is a profound peace in that thought. We do not need to perform for an audience. We do not need to impress the Galactic Council. We just need to be. Let us drift back to the image of the forest. Imagine the snow falling. Thick, heavy flakes, they blanket the ground, they muffle the sound. The snow makes travel impossible. The paths are hidden. The roads are closed. You are snowed in. For some, being snowed in is a nightmare. It is claustrophobic, but for others, for the wise, being snowed in is a blessing. It means the world stops. It means the demands of the outside fade away. It means you can sit by the fire. You can read a book. You can talk to the people you love. You can sleep. The earth is snowed in. We are snowed in by the vacuum, and the snow will not melt for 1,000,000,000 years. So let us enjoy the fire. Let us appreciate the protective void. Look at the night sky again. Look at the black spaces between the stars. Do not see them as empty. See them as a buffer. See them as the velvet rope that keeps the crowd away. See them as the thick wool blanket that wraps around our solar system, keeping the cold out, keeping the warmth in. The nearest star is 4 light-years away. The nearest galaxy is 2,000,000 light-years away. These numbers are not just statistics. They are the thickness of our armor. If there are monsters in the dark, they are very, very far away. They are separated from us by an ocean of nothingness that even they struggle to cross. We are the beneficiaries of the emptiness. We are the safe ones. So when you feel lonely looking at the stars, remember that loneliness is just another word for privacy. And in the dark forest, privacy is the most valuable treasure of all. Let the distance comfort you. Let the scale soothe you. You are a tiny, precious spark protected by an infinite amount of nothing, and nothing is a very safe thing to be surrounded by. Imagine the Earth spinning slowly, a blue sanctuary. Around it the vacuum is cold and still. It is a stillness that has lasted for eons, and it will last for eons more. Nothing is coming, and that is good. That is very good. Chapter 14. The Steward of Life. We have looked into the deep woods. We have seen the hunters. We have seen the hiding places. We have seen the walls of snow that keep us safe. But there is one final possibility we must consider. One that changes the feeling of the silence entirely. We have assumed this whole time that the forest is full. We have assumed that behind every tree there is a watcher. We have assumed that the silence is a trick. But what if the silence is real? What if the dark forest is not dark because it is full of wolves, but because it is empty? What if we are the only ones here? This is the rare Earth hypothesis, and in many ways it is more frightening and more beautiful than any theory about aliens. It suggests that the path to life is not a highway. It is a tightrope stretched across a canyon of fire and ice, 10 billion years wide, and somehow, against all odds, we walked across it without falling. Let us look at the ground beneath our feet. Let us look at the miracle of the cabin. To build a home in this universe is not easy. The universe is violent. It is chaotic. It is radioactive for Earth to exist. For you to be lying there breathing. 1,000 things had to go exactly right. 1,000 tumblers in a cosmic lock had to click into place at the exact same moment. First, the location. We live in the suburbs of the Milky Way. Not too close to the center where the black hole sleeps and the radiation is intense. Not too far out where there are not enough heavy metals to build a planet. We are in the galactic habitable zone, the quiet street. Then, the neighbors. We have Jupiter. Think of Jupiter, the massive, swirling giant, the king of planets. It does not just sit there. It works. It acts as a shield. Its gravity is so immense that it pulls in the asteroids and comets that would otherwise smash into the inner solar system. For 4 billion years, Jupiter has been catching bullets for us. It has been sweeping the path, keeping the wolves at bay. Without Jupiter, Earth would be a cratered wasteland, battered by rocks from the deep dark every few centuries. Then the partner, the moon. Our moon is strange. It is too big. No other planet has a moon this large compared to its size. It is a stabilizer. Without the moon, Earth would wobble. Our axis would tip over. The climate would swing wildly from freezing to boiling in the span of a few years. Life would never get a foothold. But the moon holds us steady. It grips us with its gravity. It keeps our seasons gentle. It creates the tides, the rhythmic sloshing of the oceans that may have encouraged the first life to move from the water to the land. And finally, the shield. Deep beneath your feet, thousands of miles down, there is a core of molten iron. It is spinning. That spin creates a magnetic field, an invisible bubble that surrounds our planet. Outside that bubble, the sun is not a gentle friend. It is a dragon. It breathes streams of high-energy particles, the solar wind, that would strip away our atmosphere in an instant. Mars lost its shield, and its atmosphere was blown away into the void. But our shield holds. It deflects the wind. It turns the deadly radiation into the northern lights, a beautiful curtain of green and purple dancing in the sky. We are living inside a machine that was built by chance, but functions with the precision of a watch. If any one of these things were different, if Jupiter was smaller, if the moon was further away, if the core stopped spinning, the cabin would go cold, the fire would go out. The rare Earth hypothesis says, this luck does not happen twice. It says that while bacteria might be common, complex thinking, feeling life is a 1 in a trillion accident. It suggests that the other stars are not campfires. They are just burning gas. The other planets are just rocks. The forest is truly deeply empty. If this is true, then the silence of the night sky is not a threat. It is a tragedy. But it is also a call to duty. It means we are not just another civilization. We are the civilization. We are the stewards of life. Think of the responsibility that places on our shoulders. If we are the only ones, then we are the universe's way of knowing itself. Without us, the universe is just physics. It is just atoms banging into atoms, stars burning, black holes eating, galaxies spinning. It is a play with no audience, a song with no listener, a painting with no eye to see it. But because we are here, the universe has meaning, the universe has beauty, the universe has a story. We are the consciousness of the cosmos. We are the eyes that see the glory of the nebula. We are the ears that hear the whisper of the pulsar. We are the hearts that feel the awe of the infinite. We are the torchbearers. Imagine the forest again, total darkness, miles and miles of black trees, and in the middle of it all, one single person holding a candle. That is us. The flame is small, it flickers in the wind, it is fragile, but it is the only light there is. If we drop the candle, if we let it go out, the forest does not just become dark. It becomes blind, it becomes meaningless. This changes everything about how we treat our world and how we treat each other. We often fight, we pollute, we build weapons, we act as if we have spare planets in the trunk. We act as if there are adults out there who will come save us if we make a mess. But the silence tells us, no one is coming. We are the adults. We are the guardians of the only flame in existence. This makes our noise, our loudness that we feared in earlier chapters, suddenly precious. Remember how we worried about our radio waves, how we worried that our music and our sitcoms and our news broadcasts were giving away our position to the hunters. But if there are no hunters, then those radio waves are not a leak. They are a gift. They are the song of life radiating out into the dead vacuum. Think of those signals expanding into the void. The sound of a mother singing a lullaby. The sound of a cello. The sound of a laugh. These are not strategic errors. These are miracles. They are the only sounds in a silent galaxy that are not made by burning gas or crushing gravity. They are the only sounds made by joy. We are filling the emptiness with the evidence of our soul, and we must continue to do so. We must keep the fire burning. We must become good stewards. A steward is someone who takes care of something that is not theirs. We do not own the earth. We do not own the flame of consciousness. We are just holding it for a while. Our job is to protect it, to shelter it from the wind. This means we must survive, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of the galaxy. If we destroy ourselves, through war or greed or carelessness, we are committing a crime on a cosmic scale. We are snuffing out the eyes of the universe. We are returning the forest to eternal, mindless darkness. So when you look at the earth, do not see it as just a resource. Do not see it as just a place to live. See it as a temple, a holy place. The only place in the sky where the lights are on. See the oceans as the cradle that rocked us to sleep. See the atmosphere as the blanket that keeps us warm. See the other species, the whales, the birds, the forests, as our fellow travelers, the only other living things in a dead zone of 1 billion light years. We are in this together. We are the crew of the only ship that is sailing, and we have a long way to go. The rare Earth hypothesis is heavy. It can make you feel lonely, but let that loneliness transform into pride. You are special. You are not a statistical average. You are not a dime a dozen. You are a diamond found in a mountain of coal. You are the result of 4 billion years of struggle, 4 billion years of luck, 4 billion years of the universe trying to wake up. And now you are awake. You are lying here breathing, thinking, dreaming. That simple act, dreaming, is the most powerful thing happening in the Milky Way tonight. More powerful than a supernova, more powerful than a black hole, because a supernova cannot dream. A black hole cannot love. Only you can do that. So protect that ability, protect your peace, protect your mind, and protect this world. The void is vast, the distance is great, the silence is deep, but the candle is burning, and as long as we are here, the forest is not dark. We are the light. Hold that thought in your chest. A warm, golden glow. You are the steward. You are the keeper. You are the reason the stars have names. Rest now in the safety of that purpose. The universe is watching you sleep, grateful that you are there to dream it into existence. Chapter 15. The Long Night. We have come a long way. You and I, we began this journey lying in the grass, looking up at the tapestry of the night. We asked the question that has haunted humanity since we first learned to count the stars. Where is everybody? We have walked through the halls of science. We stood in the cold room in West Virginia and watched the chalk dust settle on the Drake equation. We felt the hope that the math would bring us friends. We traveled to the jungle of Puerto Rico and watched the great dish of Arecibo shout its binary song into the cluster of Hercules. We watched the golden record drift past the rings of Saturn, carrying the sound of a mother's kiss into the infinite. And then we walked into the deeper, darker parts of the woods. We faced the fear. We looked at the great filter, the wall that might stop us all. We looked at the dark forest, the theory of the hunter and the prey, the silence of the survivor. We felt the chill of the chains of suspicion. We imagined the civilizations hiding in their black domains, slowing down light itself to build a tomb of safety. And finally, we returned home. We looked at the rare earth. We held the candle of our own consciousness and realized that we might be the only ones holding a light in a billion miles of darkness. The journey has been vast. The concepts have been heavy. But now, the journey is over. The theories can be put away. The equations can be erased. The questions can be left unanswered. It is time to rest. It is time to enter the long night. There is a profound beauty in the unknown. We humans are obsessed with answers. We want to solve the puzzle. We want to turn the last page of the mystery novel and find out who is hiding in the shadows. But tonight, we must accept that we do not know. And that is a good thing, if we knew everything. If the map of the galaxy was filled in. If we knew exactly who lived on every star and what they were thinking. The universe would be small. It would be domestic. It would be just another room in our house. But because we do not know, the universe remains wild. It remains grand. It remains a cathedral of possibility. The silence of the Fermi Paradox is not a void to be filled with noise. It is a canvas. It is a space where our dreams can breathe. Let us embrace cosmic humility. This is the feeling of being small, but not small like a victim, small like a child held in the arms of a giant. The universe is a massive, ancient machinery. It turns with a slow, heavy rhythm that has nothing to do with us. The galaxies spin. The nebulae collapse. The stars burn their fuel, fusing hydrogen into helium, century after century, regardless of our wars, our worries, or our deadlines. We are just passengers. There is a great relief in that. You do not have to drive the universe. You do not have to steer the stars. You do not even have to understand them. You just have to be here. You just have to witness. The weight of the world is not on your shoulders tonight. The gravity of the earth is holding you. The shield of the magnetic field is protecting you. The distance of the void is insulating you. You are free to let go. Let us look at the forest one last time. Imagine the trees, massive, ancient. Their roots go down deep into the bedrock of time. Their branches touch the ceiling of the sky. The mist has settled. The air is cool and still. The hunters, if they are there, are far away. They are sleeping in their own camps, tending to their own fires. They are not thinking about us. The hiding places are closed. The shields are up. The forest is at peace. It is the peace of the sentinel. Look at the stars above you. They are the sentinels, the watchers. They do not blink. They do not sleep. They have watched over this planet for 4 billion years. They watched the oceans form. They watched the dinosaurs walk. They watched the ice ages come and go. They are watching you now. They are indifferent, yes, but they are constant. They are the steady lights in the hallway that let you know the house is still standing. They will keep watching long after you drift off. They will keep watching long after we are gone. There is a comfort in that permanence. You can close your eyes because the stars are keeping them open. Now let us drift. Let us leave the grass. Let us leave the room. Visualize your mind becoming light, lighter than air, lighter than smoke. You are lifting up. You float up through the ceiling. You float up through the clouds. The lights of the city fade below you. They become a soft, golden blur like embers dying in a hearth. You rise higher. The air gets thin. The blue sky fades into a deep, rich indigo, and then into black. You are in orbit. Look down at the earth. The great blue marble. It is turning slowly. You can see the white swirls of the clouds. You can see the deep blue of the Pacific Ocean. It is silent up here. There is no wind, no sound, just the feeling of floating, push away, drift further out. You float past the moon. It is gray and dusty. It is cratered and scarred. It is a silent guardian reflecting the light of the sun. It has no atmosphere to carry sound. It is a world of absolute, perfect quiet. Drift past Mars. The red planet, a rusty stone hanging in the dark. It is cold there. The wind blows the red dust over ancient rocks. It is a world waiting for life or remembering it. Drift further. You are moving into the deep dark now. The sun is getting smaller. It is shrinking from a blinding ball of fire to a bright star. You pass Jupiter, the giant, a swirling ball of gas painted in stripes of cream and orange. The great red spot is watching you like a giant, unblinking eye, but it is a benevolent eye. It is the eye of a protector. You pass Saturn. You glide over the rings, millions of pieces of ice tumbling in slow motion. They glitter like diamonds scattered on black velvet. There is a hypnotic rhythm to their movement, round and round. Forever you pass the ice giants, Uranus, Neptune, blue, cold spheres, lonely outposts on the edge of the system. And then you cross the line. You pass the heliopause. You are out of the solar system. You are in the interstellar medium, the space between the stars. It is the velvet black. Here the sun is just another star. Here the earth is invisible. Here there is only the abyss, but it is not empty. It is filled with a presence. It is filled with the potential of the universe. You see Voyager out here, the little metal ship. The gold record is bolted to its side. It is tumbling slowly. End over end. Drift with it for a moment. Match its speed. You and the machine floating together in the void. It is carrying the music of Earth. It is carrying the sound of the rain. It is carrying the brain waves of a woman in love. It is a seat of warmth in the deep freeze. Feel the peace of this place. There is no time here. 1,000 years is like a second. There is no urgency. There is no deadline. There is only the drift. The eternal, weightless, silent drift. You are part of this darkness. You are made of the same atoms as the stars. You are stardust taking a brief moment to be alive before returning to the flow. You belong here. You are safe here. Think your final thought. The forest. The dark forest. Maybe it is full of hunters. Maybe they are hiding behind every star, weapons drawn, fearful and fierce. Or maybe it is empty. Maybe the ruins are quiet. Maybe we are the only ones, the first ones, the stewards of the solitary flame. Tonight it does not matter. Tonight the distinction is meaningless, because whether the forest is full or empty, we are here. We are safe in our little clearing. We are warm by our fire. The distance protects us. The silence cradles us. We have done our thinking. We have done our searching. Now we do our dreaming. We let the universe handle the heavy lifting. We let the galaxy spin. We surrender to the long night. The darkness is soft. It is heavy. It wraps around you like a quilt of stars. Breathe in the silence. Breathe out the fear. You are a traveler in the garden of the night, and the journey has ended. Sleep now. The stars will watch, the Voyager will drift, and the silence, the beautiful ancient silence, will hold you. Good night.